If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 151, Lucas's designer and primetime Emmy officially kick off. After wrapping up his brief role in an episode of Modern Family, Lucas quickly hopped on a flight back to Northern Ireland to resume filming for Game of Thrones. His character, Robb Stark, was slated to appear more significantly in the upcoming episodes. Despite Lucas's suggestions to align Robb Stark closer to his depiction in the books, his screen time in the first season remained limited. This meant Lucas didn't need to spend as much time on set compared to other cast members. Having already completed some scenes for the early episodes of Season 1 in a 2-week sprint, Lucas's return to the set was for filming the parts where Robb Stark would be more prominent. Upon his arrival on set, Kit Harington was the first to greet him, followed by the main cast. Despite their demanding schedules, they were well informed about Hollywood happenings and congratulated Lucas on his primetime Emmy nomination for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series. The filming process for Game of Thrones differed markedly from Lucas's previous projects. Unlike the more structured, episodic nature of television shows like Modern Family, or the intimate, collaborative atmosphere of indie films, Game of Thrones presented a more sprawling, cinematic approach. Scenes were shot out of sequence, often based on location rather than chronological order, demanding a high level of adaptability and continuity awareness from the actors. This epic, ensemble-driven production required meticulous planning and coordination, with vast sets, complex storylines, and a diverse cast contributing to the immersive world-building unique to this series. As the weeks flew by, with Lucas deeply immersed in the Game of Thrones filming, the primetime Emmy Awards rapidly approached. Wrapping up his schedule on the series, Lucas returned to New York. There, he was set to meet with Vincent, his agent, who had arranged for him to collaborate with a designer from Gucci for his Emmy appearance. Lucas, alongside Vincent, greeted the Gucci designer with warm smiles and handshakes. Lucas and Vincent made their way to the hotel where their meeting with the Gucci designer was set. As they walked, Lucas glanced at Vincent, a hint of skepticism in his voice. "Are you sure about this? Do you really think this Gucci designer is the right choice for me?" Vincent offered a reassuring smile. "Trust me, Lucas. I've made sure this designer is nothing like the last one we worked with. You won't be disappointed this time." Lucas let out a chuckle, shaking off any lingering doubts as they approached the room where the designer awaited them. Lucas and Vincent stepped into the lobby, where they spotted a man exuding an air of sophistication, unmistakably in his 40s. Vincent led the way, guiding Lucas toward the Italian designer from Gucci. "Lucas, this is Feliciano Bersi," Vincent introduced, gesturing towards the distinguished gentleman. "Mr. Bersi, it's an honor to meet you," Lucas extended his hand warmly, his nerves subtly hidden behind a polite smile. "Ah, Mr. Lucas, the pleasure is mine," Feliciano responded, his handshake firm yet devoid of any real warmth, his demeanor professional but somewhat detached. Lucas and Vincent exchanged quick glances, noting Feliciano's composed, almost indifferent attitude. It was a stark contrast to the outright disdain they'd experienced with the previous designer from Dolce & Gabbana. Nonetheless, it was clear Feliciano was here to do his job, already having a selection of outfits prepared for Lucas. Lucas, taking a moment to collect his thoughts, looked at Feliciano with earnest anticipation. "Mr. Bersi, I've given it a lot of thought, especially considering the Emmys. I'm aiming for a look that's not overly attention-grabbing but still uniquely me, understated elegance, if you will." After all, it was the primetime Emmys, and Lucas admitted to himself that blending into the background wasn't exactly the goal. He wanted to be noticed, but in a manner that was true to his personal style. Feliciano, intrigued by Lucas's approach, pondered his request. "A delicate balance, indeed," he mused. "Could you share more about your vision? Are there particular colors or materials you're drawn to?" Lucas paused, searching for the right words. "I'm leaning towards darker tones, perhaps a deep blue or charcoal. I'm envisioning something sophisticated but not ostentatious. I believe such choices would resonate with my persona without overpowering it." Nodding thoughtfully, Feliciano began to sketch. "Understood. How about a custom suit that combines sleek design with a hint of flair? How do you feel about a bespoke suit with a subtle pattern or a different kind of lapel to set it apart?" Lucas's face lit up with a hopeful smile. "That sounds intriguing. I'm open to exploring different ideas before making a final decision. And I'm confident in your expertise, Mr. Bersi." Feliciano, initially reserved, warmed up to Lucas as they discussed fashion preferences, revealing a shared excitement for the creative process. "I'm eager to see what we can come up with together, Mr. Lucas," Feliciano expressed, his demeanor now entirely engaging, a smile playing on his lips. In the days leading up to the Primetime Emmy Awards of 2010, the anticipation built. The event was scheduled to begin in the evening, a prime time that saw the gathering of television's brightest stars and creatives under one roof. As the day of the Emmys arrived, individuals from various sectors of the entertainment industry began making their way to the venue. Actors, directors, writers, and designers, among others, converged, each bringing their unique flair and excitement to the prestigious event. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and the promise of a night celebrating the achievements and talents that had captivated audiences worldwide. Tonight marks a significant moment for Lucas, as he prepares to grace the red carpet once more. His debut on a red carpet came at Sundance, making this evening at the Primetime Emmy Awards a continuation of his journey in the spotlight. As time marches on, Lucas is set to join the ranks of celebrities at the Emmys red carpet, reuniting with the cast and crew of Modern Family. It's this very show that has earned him an Emmy nomination, making the reunion all the more special as they approach the red carpet together. At this moment, Lucas has yet to make his appearance on the red carpet. Meanwhile, the area buzzes with activity. People from different sectors of the entertainment industry are arriving, camera flashes light up the scene, and journalists await their chance for interviews. It's shaping up to be an unforgettable evening for Lucas, filled with anticipation and promise. Chapter 152, The Primetime Emmy I. On August 29, 2010, the Primetime Emmy Awards kicked off, drawing celebrities and renowned personalities to the red carpet amid the flashing of cameras and cheers from the crowd. Celebrities greeted the fans with waves and smiles as they made their way down the red carpet. Cast members from Modern Family, such as Ty Burrell, Julie Bowen, Sofia Vergara, Eric Stonestreet, and others, made their appearance, pausing briefly for interviews with the awaiting journalists. In the crowd, a group of onlookers, clearly fans, watched the celebrities with keen interest, their excitement mixed with anticipation as they searched for a particular star. "Lucas still hasn't shown up," Kate exclaimed to her group of mostly female friends, who were holding signs with Lucas Knight written on them along with various messages. "Could it be that Lucas won't make it?" Rachel wondered aloud, a hint of concern in her eyes. Charlie, one of the few males in the group, clung to the railing, trying to lift the group's spirits. "Don't worry. Lucas Knight is nominated. He's bound to show up, it's crucial for his career, after all." Reassured by these words, the group's spirits were revived. They had met online through the Lucas Knight fan club and had decided to meet in person at the Emmys to see their idol, Lucas, together. While most of the women in the group had become fans of Lucas through his roles in Modern Family and 127 Hours, Charlie and a few others were drawn in by his music. Driven by their admiration, they were prepared to attend the Emmys just to catch a glimpse of him in person. As time passed, the faith of Lucas's fan group began to waver, questioning whether he would make an appearance. They started to feel that the chances of Lucas attending the Emmys were slim. After all, although he was nominated, it was for the Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, not one of the major categories, and they feared that might not be enough to lure him to the event. Just as their hopes began to fade, Rachel suddenly pointed out, "Look! There he is!" The group's gaze swiftly followed the direction of Rachel's pointing finger, and there, they spotted Lucas. Despite the flurry of camera flashes targeting the more well-known celebrities, Lucas stood out. He was dressed in a bespoke suit of deep blue with a subtle pattern, adjusting his attire with slightly nervous hands, yet maintaining an air of calm. At this sight, Kate, Rachel, Charlie, and the others were overjoyed. They began shouting Lucas's name and raising their signs, hoping to catch his attention amidst the bustling crowd. As Lucas made his way along the red carpet, he thought he was prepared, having experienced the spotlight at Sundance. However, the lively atmosphere, the energetic crowd, and the relentless flashing of cameras soon stirred his nerves. He briefly adjusted his tie before sliding his hands into his pockets, a subtle attempt to conceal his growing anxiety. Amidst the cacophony, a voice cut through the noise his name, called out distinctly from the generic roar for other celebrities. This grabbed Lucas's attention. After all, it was not every day that his name stood out in such a clamor. He turned slightly to see a group of 7 people shouting his direction, waving signs with heartfelt messages like "Lucas Knight. I'm a fan, I love your music, and I hope you win the Outstanding Guest Actor in Comedy Series category," among others. The personal touch of the messages brought a smile to Lucas's face. Just as he was contemplating approaching them, Lucas noticed that the attention from his 7 fans had started a ripple effect. More and more people in the crowd began to take notice and started chanting his name, creating a wave of recognition that swept through the throngs of onlookers. Although the cheers for Lucas couldn't match the volume given to the more renowned celebrities, the growing chorus of his name began to draw more attention. Knight. Please sign this copy of your album I just bought. The perfect guy. Lucas. Lucas, over here. Look this way. Triggered by the shouts, a few cameramen and journalists pivoted towards Lucas, intercepting him before he could reach the group of fans that had initially caught his attention. I recognize you. You're the guy from Modern Family, right? Lucas Knight. One journalist exclaimed as he thrust the microphone towards Lucas, introducing himself. I'm Alex from The Hollywood Reporter. How are you feeling tonight? Lucas responded with a smile, I'm doing more than just fine. He glanced around, still somewhat in disbelief at the number of fans clamoring for his attention. Alex let out a chuckle and remarked, looks like you've just realized how famous you've become. The journalists around Alex chuckled at his comment. Lucas joined in with a laugh, responding, yeah, you could definitely say that. The journalists found Lucas's admission amusing, and their laughter filled the air as the cameraman recorded the moment. Then, another journalist, standing close to Alex, introduced himself, Lucas, I'm Daniel from Entertainment Weekly. He then proceeded with his question, there's a buzz in the industry that you're a strong contender for the Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series award. Do you agree with this speculation? Hearing the question, Lucas appeared genuinely surprised and responded, really? He paused, his brows furrowing in thought, honestly, I feel like I don't stand much of a chance against the other actors in the category. I think my chances of winning are pretty slim. The journalists chuckled at Lucas's humble response. Max from Variety chimed in, you're quite modest, Knight. Among the nominees for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, your performance was particularly memorable and iconic, especially in that Modern Family episode. Exactly, the clip from that episode went viral on YouTube. I seriously doubt there's anyone more deserving than you, even with veterans like Neil Patrick Harris in the mix, Alex added, with other journalists nodding in agreement. Lucas remained skeptical, given Neil Patrick Harris's renowned status, especially for his roles in popular series and as a beloved host of various events. After an extensive conversation, Lucas concluded the interview and waved to his fans in the crowd before heading over to pose for photos on the red carpet. He then joined Ty Burrell, Eric Stonestreet and the rest of the Modern Family cast, who were also nominated that year. In the public eye, Lucas noticed that while the cast was cordial and engaging in conversation with him, they seemed somewhat reserved. Chapter 153, The Primetime Emmy 2. Rachel and the others noticed Lucas about to approach them when suddenly, he was swarmed by a crowd. Dozens of people vied for his attention, and then a journalist stepped in to interview him. This commotion prevented Lucas from getting any closer, likely a precaution since his fame could inadvertently cause chaos. Damn it! I didn't expect Lucas to be this well known here. Kate said, frustrated. I thought we were his only fans here, that we could monopolize his attention, maybe even snag an autograph. What did you expect? Lucas is way more popular than we realized. I kind of saw this coming, but it still sucks, Charlie added with a sigh. It really sucks. Now that Lucas has entered the Nokia Theatre, we'll only see him again after the Emmy Awards are over, Rachel grumbled. Jane, another friend in the group, sighed and added, and that's going to take a while. Inside the theatre, Lucas scanned the grand interior, noticing many attendees already finding their seats. His seat was near the cast of Modern Family, and he found himself sitting beside actors he didn't recognize. After some time, Lucas politely introduced himself and started chatting with the actors next to him. Meanwhile, on stage, Jimmy Fallon made his entrance, guitar in hand, surrounded by other performers. He exuded a burst of energy as he beckoned to the audience, come on. With contagious enthusiasm, Jimmy counted down, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then launched into a song, performing passionately for the next minute or so. The theatre erupted in applause, and Lucas joined in, clapping as Jimmy, freshly suited up by the staff, elicited laughter from the audience on stage. After soaking in the applause, Jimmy expressed his gratitude, yet. Thanks, guys. Welcome to the 62nd Primetime Emmy Awards, Jimmy, slightly out of breath from his performance, continued, I'm thrilled to be your host tonight. I'm a huge fan of TV, watching it, being part of it, it's all unbelievable to me. Everyone here tonight has contributed to an incredible year in television. So tonight, we're here to celebrate your achievements. Let's make it a fun night, okay? The audience responded with enthusiastic cheers, Lucas among them, unaware that the camera had briefly focused on him. Then, Jimmy picked up his guitar again, strumming a few chords to captivate the audience before introducing himself, sparking a gentle wave of laughter throughout the theater. Now, as you all know, the Emmys are divided into 5 sections. Jimmy continued, strumming his guitar to punctuate his words: comedy, reality, drama, variety, and miniseries and movies. He then playfully shouted, "Hiya!" prompting more chuckles and laughter from the crowd. Following this light-hearted introduction, Jimmy launched into the first category of the awards in his unique, musical, and humorous style. He then welcomed Amy Poehler to the stage, and together, they presented the nominees for the comedy category. On the LED screen, Lucas saw the faces of the nominated actors for the 2010 Emmy in the comedy category. As clips from their respective series played, showcasing moments of humor and brilliance, the anticipation in the room built up. Finally, the moment arrived: the Emmy goes to Eric Stonestreet. Lucas joined in the applause, genuinely moved by Eric Stonestreet's heartfelt acceptance. As the clapping waned, Eric expressed his thanks and began his speech, visibly touched. "You know, all I wanted to be was a clown in the circus when I was a kid growing up, from an age that I can remember." He continued, "and to be in this industry, working with such incredible people." He took a moment, reflecting, "You know, a lot of people say don't pursue this as a career. Because it's difficult, and it is. But what I am most proud of," Eric paused, looking towards the Modern Family cast seated in the distance, "are all the people I have met in this business, our crews." Eric's co-stars smiled warmly in his direction as they listened to his heartfelt speech from the stage. "And the people we get to work with and act with every day." The camera focused on Jesse Tyler Ferguson, capturing the emotional tears of joy as he watched Eric, his series co-star, deliver his speech. Then, the lens shifted to Ty Burrell for a moment. Meanwhile, Lucas, wearing a soft smile for Eric, was also caught briefly by the camera's gaze. Eric continued, his voice filled with warmth, "I get to work with Ed O'Neill every day, and Ty Burrell." He went on, "and Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Julie Bowen." Pausing, a reflective look crossing his face, Eric's gaze briefly met Lucas's in the crowd as he mentioned, "and of course, one of the most interesting actors I've had the pleasure to work with, Lucas Knight." At this, Lucas, who had been sitting quietly with a content smile, suddenly felt the flicker of attention from those around him. He noticed the actors next to him offering warm smiles, causing a peculiar yet fleeting spotlight to fall on him. Though the attention was short-lived as Eric continued his speech, the experience left Lucas momentarily self-conscious under the gazes of so many esteemed peers. "It's incredible," Eric went on, his gratitude palpable. "Thanks to Steve Levitan and Chris Lloyd for the most amazing job ever." He then turned his appreciation to the writers, "Our writers. I just get to say the words you guys write. You're unbelievable." He didn't forget to thank the networks and production companies, ABC, 20th Century Fox. As Eric listed his thanks, Lucas watched on, a mix of emotions stirring within him. He couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to stand there, delivering a speech as Eric was. Yet, as only a nominee for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, Lucas knew that even a win wouldn't bring him to the stage tonight. Should he win, his celebration would be confined to his seat, acknowledged only by his own applause and that of those around him, without a moment in the spotlight. Chapter 154, Win. After Eric Stonestreet concluded his speech with heartfelt thanks to his parents, particularly his father, he descended from the stage. Following his exit, the LED screen lit up, displaying scenes from Eric's time on Modern Family, before transitioning to acknowledge the sponsors of the Emmys. After a few minutes spent alternating between Eric's memorable scenes and sponsor highlights, the focus shifted to another LED monitor. There, John Hodgman was seen seated behind a desk. He began with a cordial, "Good evening." John then proceeded to introduce himself. "My name is John Hodgman, your backstage color commentator," he declared. As he made his introduction, Lucas, along with others in the audience, couldn't help but chuckle softly. As winners walked to the stage, John continued, "I will tell you a few interesting facts about them, maybe spin an act or a tour, or simply work through one of my many personal grudges. Speaking of which, here's my good friend and mortal enemy Jimmy Fallon. There, on stage, stood Jimmy Fallon, diving right back into the excitement by discussing live audience voting on Twitter before bringing on the next presenters, Sofia Vergara and Jim Parsons. They exchanged playful banter for a short while until Jim Parsons finally said, "Well, we're here to present the award for Best Writing in a Comedy Series. We asked the nominees, when did you first make someone laugh?" The screen then lit up with clips of various comedy series casts and creators delivering punchlines. The last clip featured Modern Family creators Christopher Lloyd and Stephen Levitan, humorously perched atop a horse. Finally, it was time for the big reveal. Sofia Vergara, with a mix of excitement and nerves, announced the award, and the Emmy goes to Christopher Lloyd and Stephen Levitan of Modern Family. Her voice rose to a high-pitched squeal as she shared the exciting news. Sofia and the rest of the Modern Family cast, Lucas included, were visibly thrilled for the show's creators. They watched as Stephen Levitan made his way to the stage to accept the trophy, while Christopher Lloyd, absent, left the speech duties to Stephen. "It's absolutely mind-blowing," Stephen began, "to think that just 2 short years ago, Modern Family was just this little germ of an idea Chris and I had one day while we were out riding our horse." He continued, "I want to thank everybody at 20th. Steve McPherson and everybody still at ABC." The audience erupted into laughter upon hearing the final remark. After expressing his thanks, Stephen turned his attention to the cast. "I want to thank our amazing cast. You guys are a writer's dream." He paused for a moment, then, with a teasing glance in Lucas's direction, added, "The probable exception is Lucas Knight. Thanks for making Chris's and my job a tad more challenging." The audience erupted in laughter, though not everyone fully grasped the reason behind Stephen's remark. Many speculated it had something to do with Stephen's experiences working with Lucas. But given Stephen's light-hearted delivery, nearly everyone, including Sofia, who cast an amused glance at Lucas, joined in the laughter. Lucas, for his part, managed a wry smile, puzzled. "What's happening?" First, a shout-out from Eric, and now this from Stephen, who didn't even mention Ed O'Neill. "Why single me out?" His train of thought was interrupted when a fellow actor teased him, saying, "Haha, did you make life difficult for the directors and writers during the Modern Family shoots with your acting?" Coming back to reality, Lucas met the actor's gaze. Although he realized the actor might be poking fun at a perceived difficulty on set, Lucas responded with a chuckle, "Haha, I thought I held my own pretty well. I'm not sure what Stephen is getting at, honestly." The actors next to Lucas burst into laughter at his response, while Lucas himself couldn't admit out loud that Christopher and Stephen's work had been made more complex due to the need to improvise developments for Dylan's character. Lucas then turned his attention back to Stephen, who, after his playful remarks, ended his speech on a tender note, declaring his love for his wife, who was also present at the Emmys. Following that, Jimmy Fallon reappeared, offering some brief words before introducing the next presenter, Stephen Colbert. Stephen stepped onto the stage, starting with a humorous, "Good evening, ladies and women," which immediately drew laughter from the audience. He continued to entertain everyone with a series of jokes before moving on to announce the nominees for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. The room filled with applause as each nominee's name was announced, with Julie Bowen among them. In the end, the Emmy was awarded to Jane Lynch for her role in Glee. Jane Lynch began her acceptance speech, and once she concluded, Jimmy Fallon returned to the stage to introduce the next presenters, Matthew Perry and Lauren Graham. The duo captivated the audience with their banter, starting with Matthew who, while seemingly praising the show Lauren stars in, laced his comments with a hint of sarcasm. Lauren played along smoothly until she turned the tables, humorously inquiring about Matthew's show, then quipping, "So it's another gay guy." The audience roared with laughter at Lauren's witty retort. With Matthew momentarily at a loss for words, Lauren, still wearing a proud smile, seamlessly transitioned to the next segment, saying, "Last week, the Emmys for Guest Actor and Actress in a Comedy Series were handed out. Following that, they presented a list of guest actresses and their appearances on various TV show episodes, accompanied by clips. Among the notable mentions were Neil Patrick Harris for his role in Glee and Lucas Knight for Modern Family. When Lucas's name was mentioned, the camera zoomed in on him, and noticing this, Lucas smiled and waved back. The anticipation was palpable, but soon resolved as the winner was declared. The Emmy goes to Betty White for SNL. The camera then panned to Betty White, capturing her reaction. Not long after, the winner for the Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series was announced. And the award goes to Lucas Knight for his appearance in Modern Family. The camera again focused on Lucas, who looked genuinely surprised and delighted by his win. As he smiled broadly for the camera and clapped for himself, the cast, directors, and Steven, all present, joined in the applause, sharing in his moment of triumph. Though the celebration was fleeting, Lucas felt a profound sense of joy and accomplishment. Chapter 155, Emmy Conclusion. In the Los Angeles mansion, Mila watched the primetime Emmys on TV and noticed that the camera had frequently panned to her stepson. "Lucas," she murmured, taking a sip of her champagne, lost in thought. She had observed Lucas slowly carving out a niche for himself in Hollywood. Mila suspected that Vincent, her husband, had been covertly supporting Lucas's career. She had confronted Vincent about this suspicion several times, but he always denied it with a dismissive shrug. "Even I was surprised that brat Lucas turned out to be such a decent actor." Mila found it hard to believe. She couldn't shake the feeling that without her husband's help, Lucas wouldn't have even secured a nomination in a minor Emmy category. She was increasingly convinced that her husband must be discreetly aiding Lucas's career. In his office, Vincent watched as his son won the Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series. He snorted, seeing Lucas take pride in what he considered a minor award. Despite his disdain, Vincent had to admit he was surprised by Lucas's achievement. Being nominated for an Emmy, even if it wasn't in a major category, was more than he had expected from him. After Lucas savored the moment of winning the Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, the Emmy show rolled on. As the evening progressed, nominees were introduced with clips, and winners made their way to the stage. Time passed until Jimmy introduced a well-known Hollywood figure. "I used to think this next guy was a fat, rude, loud-mouthed Brit, but now..." He paused, his next comment sparking laughter in the audience. "He's lost a bit of weight." "Ladies and gentlemen, Ricky Gervais." As Ricky Gervais stepped onto the stage, the crowd erupted into applause and cheers. With a wave and a smile, Ricky greeted them. "Hello. Me again. I'm going to keep this short and sweet this time and clean," he announced, prompting chuckles from the audience. "I'm saving the really offensive stuff for the Golden Globes," he added, earning a burst of laughter as he chuckled along. "They're all drunk anyway." The audience's laughter grew as Ricky continued, "Not here. No drunk here. No drink at the Emmys." He shook his head with a laugh. "Not even backstage. Wanted to have a beer, but no." Ricky went on, humor in his voice. "What's the worst they think is going to happen? Really, that we're all going to get drunk, go mental, and smack someone's head? What? There's no one scary here, really." He paused, then delivered with perfect timing, "I've seen people here cry when they break a fingernail." The laughter in the audience intensified as Ricky quipped, "So, no one's going to kick off?" He chuckled, "No tough guys around, you know what I mean? No Russell Crowe, he wouldn't be seen dead here on TV." The laughter continued as Ricky added, "Or Christian Bale. No. Kiefer? He's got a couple more hours before things really start to unravel." Then he smirked, "Mel Gibson? Come on, no, really, come on." Shaking his head, Ricky continued, "I'm not going to have a go at him. He's been through a lot." The laughter from the crowd grew louder as he added, "Not as much as the Jews." The joke about the Jews elicited even more laughter from the audience. Ricky's chuckles grew louder, "But, you know, I've heard there's a rookie actor here tonight who might just find himself nominated for the Golden Globes soon. You better brace yourself, mate." The audience looked around, buzzing with curiosity about who Ricky was hinting at. He then pointed directly at Lucas. "Yeah, I'm talking about you, Lucas. After your stint in 127 hours, don't be surprised if you find yourself at the Golden Globes. But let's not make any rookies cry tonight, right? It'd be such a shame. So soak up your Emmy moment while it lasts." As Ricky delivered these lines, the audience erupted in laughter once again. The camera zoomed in on Lucas again, prompting laughter from the audience as they turned to look at him. Many in the room were aware of Lucas's compelling performance in his debut film 127 Hours, which led them to believe in his potential for a Golden Globe nomination. This context made Ricky's joke even more amusing to the crowd. Caught in the spotlight at the Emmys once again, Lucas found himself momentarily lost for words. As his fellow actors nudged and teased him, he pondered silently, "Is this my lucky day or my unlucky day? Being singled out not once, but 3 times during the ceremony, with Ricky's mention drawing particularly prolonged attention, Lucas couldn't help but wonder whether this was a stroke of fortune or misfortune. At the same time, Lucas felt a bit odd under the fleeting scrutiny of his peers. Yet, he was secretly impressed that Ricky Gervais even knew who he was. The fact that someone as well known as Ricky was aware of his existence, especially as the lead in 127 Hours, his very first film and the only one released thus far, left Lucas quietly astonished. The other projects he had worked on hadn't even hit the screens yet. Lucas was blissfully unaware of how his indie film was perceived in the industry. While it couldn't rival the box office earnings of major commercial films, which often soared into the hundreds of millions, his debut had still managed to rake in a respectable sum. More importantly, despite its modest earnings, within the industry, it was considered highly impressive and had caught the eyes of many. After his playful jabs at Lucas, Ricky quipped, "Who's up for a beer? Come on." To the audience's amusement, several waiters emerged, weaving through the seats near the stage to hand out beers. Ricky then resumed, "The office is in syndication." The audience chuckled. He added, "Those beers are on me. Thank you." With a smile, Ricky moved the Emmy proceedings forward. "Now, let's present the award for Outstanding Directing for a Variety, Music, or Comedy Series." The show went on as the names of the nominees were announced. With the winner already making their way to the stage, the Emmy ceremony stretched on for a bit longer before finally drawing to a close. Chapter 156, Top Talent Managers. After the curtains fell on the 2010 Primetime Emmy Awards, the backstage area buzzed with the energy of post-award interviews. Lucas, among others, was swiftly ushered in front of the cameras. The interviewer, a keen observer of the night's events, couldn't help but dive straight into the highlights. "Lucas, Ricky Gervais had the audience in stitches tonight, especially with his playful nudge about you and the Golden Globes. What's your take on that?" Lucas, maintaining a light-hearted demeanor, responded with a chuckle, "Honestly, I'm not even sure if I'll ever be nominated for the Golden Globes. Ricky sure has a way of setting the bar high, doesn't he?" The interviewer, smiling, leaned in, "Well, Lucas, many would say he's not far off. You've shown tremendous talent in 127 Hours. It seems like Ricky might be onto something. There's a strong feeling you do have the potential to be on that Golden Globe stage." Lucas smiled, taking the compliment in stride but keeping the mood light. "Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens. But for now, I'm just soaking in tonight's experience." After his interview and a quick photo session, Lucas made his way to the glittering after-parties. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the buzz of celebrations and conversations about the night's events. It was here, amidst the revelry, that Lucas encountered Sam Levinson and Ava DuVernay, 2 individuals he knew had expressed an interest in managing him, according to his agent, Vincent. Lucas approached them with a warm smile. "Sam, Ava, it's an honor to meet you both in person," he started, extending his hand. Ava returned the smile, her enthusiasm evident. "Lucas, we've heard so much about you. Your performance in 127 Hours phenomenal." Sam nodded in agreement, "Absolutely. There's a unique intensity you bring to the screen. We're fans." Lucas blushed slightly at the praise. "Thank you, that means a lot coming from both of you. My agent mentioned you were interested in managing talents." Ava chuckled, "Well, we dabble in different areas, but yes, we've had our eye on you. However," she glanced at Sam before continuing with a playful grin, "we also know when to step back when the big guns come into play." Lucas felt a flicker of confusion at Ava's comment, still processing the transition from casual conversation to potential career shifts. Just then, Larry Rudolph and Dave Becky approached, their demeanor exuding authority and experience. Lucas remembered his agent's words, these two were giants in the world of talent management. "Lucas, great to run into you here," Larry greeted, offering a firm handshake, his tone full of assurance. "We've been following your career closely. We've already reached out to your agent. You should be aware by now that we're interested in taking you under my wing." Dave chimed in, "Yeah, choosing me as your manager could really elevate your career to new levels." Lucas was taken aback, hardly believing that such prominent Hollywood talent managers were directly approaching him at the Emmys. Sam laughed, breaking into the conversation, "See what we mean, Lucas? These are the professionals you should be considering. We'll just stick to the filmmaking side." Ava added with a smile, "Exactly. But remember, if you ever decide to venture from management to the world of film, we're just a call away." Lucas shared a quiet laugh as he continued chatting with Sam and Ava, then gradually shifted his focus to the two talent managers. It dawned on him why Sam and Ava had seemingly stepped back. They knew they were in the presence of industry giants, dedicated managers who operated in leagues of their own. What Lucas didn't realize, however, was that Sam and Ava had never genuinely planned to manage him themselves. Their strategy was subtler. They had reached out to Lucas's agent with the intention of steering Lucas toward them at the after-party, only to introduce him to these top-tier talent managers, positioning it as a friendly handover rather than a direct competition. As Lucas turned his attention to the two influential top-notch managers, he extended a warm greeting. "It's truly a pleasure and an honor to meet both of you." Larry and Dave acknowledged him with nods. Larry then began, "Lucas, I've seen your performance in 127 Hours and Modern Family. You've been selective with your projects, which I respect. But let me be clear, I can elevate your career in ways Dave here can only dream of." Dave, unable to contain a chuckle, interjected, "Hold on there. I'm not sure you're the right fit for Lucas. My network runs deep, deeper than yours, I'd wager." Larry snorted dismissively, "Oh really? That's what you think? I've got the track record to prove my worth. Don't get me started on success stories." As the banter continued, Lucas watched, finding it almost surreal. Here were two top-notch managers, vying to represent him, each boasting of their connections and successes. It was an unexpected, yet flattering tug-of-war. As Lucas engaged with the two managers, his mind raced, weighing the reputation and background of each. Larry Rudolph was best known for his long-standing association with Britney Spears, guiding her through various stages of her career. His expertise wasn't just limited to music. He had a knack for branding and had successfully navigated the complex waters of celebrity culture. In Lucas's eyes, Larry was the quintessential comeback king, someone who understood the entertainment industry's highs and lows. On the other hand, Dave Becky was a powerhouse in the world of comedy management, with clients like Kevin Hart and Amy Poehler. His name was synonymous with successful television shows and stand-up specials. Dave had a keen eye for talent and was known for his ability to foster comedians' careers, guiding them from small gigs to major headlining events and hit TV shows. As Lucas considered them, he recognized that each brought a distinct set of skills and networks to the table, Larry with his deep understanding of the music and broader entertainment industry, and Dave with his unparalleled access to the comedy world and television. In 2010, both were at the height of their careers, making the decision all the more challenging for Lucas. Chapter 157, Big Days Ahead. Larry Rudolph found himself particularly intrigued and impressed by Lucas's musical talents, more so than his acting career. His interest lay in the potential crossover appeal Lucas could have, envisioning a unique path that merged music with visual media. Conversely, Dave Becky was thoroughly impressed with Lucas's comedic timing in Modern Family. He leaned in, enthusiasm evident, "Lucas, your performance on Modern Family was outstanding. There's a natural comedic talent in you that the audience loves. I see huge potential there. I can help you become a leading figure in comedy, much like some of my other clients." Dave's words flowed with conviction, painting a picture of a future where Lucas could be a leading figure in comedy. However, he was completely unaware that Lucas's heart wasn't set on comedy. Lucas appreciated comedy and enjoyed his stint on Modern Family, but his passion was in acting broadly, seeking diverse roles that challenged him across genres, not confined to comedy alone. As Dave outlined his vision, Lucas found himself nodding politely, yet internally, his interest waned. He respected Dave's accomplishments and influence in the comedy world, but Lucas couldn't help feeling that this path wasn't aligned with his own aspirations. Larry, sensing an opportunity, began to share his vision for Lucas's music career. "Lucas, your first album is doing incredibly well, and that clip of you singing perfect on Modern Family viral. There's a whole audience out there just waiting for more. Imagine what we could do together, elevating your music to new levels, exploring avenues you haven't even considered yet." Lucas listened, his interest piqued yet cautious. While he had a genuine affection for music, and was flattered by Larry's enthusiasm, especially given his successful track record, he couldn't ignore the inner voice reminding him of his true passion, acting. Music was a part of his life, yes, but it wasn't his sole focus or ultimate aspiration. As Larry outlined potential collaborations and groundbreaking projects, Lucas continued to nod politely, showing respect for Larry's expertise and vision. However, deep down, he felt a disconnect growing. His respect for these top-notch managers remained intact, but their visions for his future diverged from his own. Lucas was beginning to realize that their paths, while impressive, may not align with the journey he envisioned for himself in the acting world. Lucas, after carefully considering his options, turned to the two managers. "I'm truly honored by your interest and the faith you have in my potential," he began earnestly, "but at this moment, I feel it's best for me to explore my career independently. Thank you both for your generous offers." The polite refusal, however, didn't sit well with Larry and Dave. Their expressions shifted to frowns, unaccustomed to rejection, especially from someone still making their way up in the industry. As Lucas walked away, a mix of professionalism and personal conviction in his step, the two managers couldn't hide their disappointment. "He's just another overconfident newcomer," Larry muttered, shaking his head. Dave nodded in agreement, both feeling a sting of insult from being turned down by a rookie. When Sam and Ava approached, curious about the outcome, they were taken aback to learn of Lucas's decision. "He turned down both of you?" Ava asked, incredulous, knowing the weight both managers carried in Hollywood. Larry and Dave, still nursing their bruised egos, didn't hold back in their assessment of Lucas. "Yes, believes he can do better on his own," Dave said with a hint of sarcasm. Sam and Ava exchanged glances, choosing to nod politely rather than stoke the fire. Before leaving the Emmy afterparty, Lucas mingled and formed connections, soaking in the vibrant atmosphere of success and camaraderie. As he stepped outside, he was greeted by a pleasant surprise: a group of 7 fans who had been patiently waiting near the venue, eager for a moment with their favorite star. As Lucas approached, the fans' excitement was palpable. The first, a bright-eyed woman, stepped forward. "Hi, Lucas. I'm Rachel. I absolutely adored your roles in Modern Family and 127 Hours," she said, holding up a DVD copy of 127 Hours for him to see. "It's great to meet you, Rachel. Thanks for the kind words." Lucas responded, his smile matching hers as he reached out to take the DVD and sign it. Another fan, introducing herself as Jane, chimed in, "And I'm Jane. Your performance really moved me." Kate followed, "I'm Kate, and I agree. You were amazing." Lucas nodded, appreciating each introduction. "Jane, Kate, it's so nice to meet you. I'm glad you enjoyed the work." Then came Charlie, holding an album in his hand. "Lucas, I'm Charlie. Your music has been such an inspiration to us, but 127 Hours it was also something else." He gestured to the 2 fans beside him. "This is Robert and Sam. We're huge fans of your album." "Robert, Sam, Charlie, it's fantastic to meet fellow music lovers," Lucas replied, taking the album from Charlie to sign. "I hope to keep inspiring you with more tunes." The group laughed and exchanged stories with Lucas, who made sure to personalize each autograph. "It's moments like these that truly mean the world to me," Lucas admitted as he signed shirts and albums. "Your support is what keeps me going." The fans were overjoyed, their admiration for Lucas only deepening through their personal interaction. As they bid farewell, Lucas thanked them once more. "Thank you all for waiting out here. It was a pleasure meeting you." With heartfelt goodbyes, Lucas walked away, feeling a profound connection to his audience. As Lucas waved goodbye to his fans, his phone buzzed with an incoming call. Pulling it from his pocket, he saw Vincent's name on the screen. Stepping aside, he answered, "Hey, Vincent, what's up?" "Lucas, good timing," Vincent's voice came through, a mix of excitement and urgency. "I just got off the phone with the Warner Brothers. Inception, the movie you're in, it's about to hit the big screen. They want you to get ready for a series of interviews along with the rest of the cast for the promotional push." Lucas's eyes widened in surprise, a rush of adrenaline coursing through him at the mention of Inception. "Really? That's fantastic. When do we start?" "We're scheduling now," Vincent explained. "They're planning a whole promotional tour. Interviews, premieres, the works. I'll send you the details as soon as I have them. Make sure you're ready, this is a big one." "All right, I won't let you down." "Thanks for the heads up, Vincent," Lucas replied, the excitement palpable in his voice. "All right, get some rest. Big days ahead," Vincent advised before ending the call. Lucas pocketed his phone, a surge of anticipation for the upcoming promotion of Inception. The night had brought more surprises than he could have anticipated, and as he headed home, his thoughts were a whirlwind of Emmy memories and the exciting opportunities just over the horizon. Chapter 158, Reunion. As Lucas devoted his days to preparing for the Inception promotional tour, his agenda was packed with decisions and preparations. He considered his wardrobe carefully, selecting outfits that would suit various settings, from casual interviews to more formal red carpet events. He also spent time researching potential interview questions, brushing up on details about the movie to share thoughtful insights. Lucas practiced his responses, ensuring he could convey his experiences and the film's themes articulately. Additionally, he coordinated with the film's publicity team, scheduling appearances and ensuring he was briefed on each event's format and expectations. Meanwhile, on social media platforms like Yahoo and Twitter, Lucas's fans were abuzz with excitement. A small group who had the chance to meet him at the Emmys shared their experiences, posting photos and recounting the warmth and friendliness Lucas showed them. They detailed how he took the time to sign autographs, engage in conversation, and genuinely express his appreciation for their support. This sharing sparked a wave of reactions within the online fan community. While many fans were thrilled to see Lucas's interactions and celebrated the personal stories, a hint of envy surfaced among others. They wished they too could have the opportunity to meet Lucas in person, to share a moment and receive an autograph. This mixture of excitement and envy further fueled conversations about Lucas, elevating his presence in fan circles and increasing anticipation for his other upcoming projects. A few days later, Lucas made his way to Warner Bros. Studios, ready for a meeting with the main cast and the director of Inception. Upon arrival, a friendly receptionist greeted him and led him through the bustling hallways to a spacious meeting room. Lucas entered, expecting to see the entire cast and director already gathered. However, to his surprise, the room was quieter than expected. Only Ken Watanabe was present, sitting comfortably with a script in hand. "Ken, long time no see!" Lucas exclaimed, his face lighting up with a genuine smile as he approached his former co-star. Ken looked up, his own smile mirroring Lucas's enthusiasm. "Lucas, it's good to see you again," he replied, standing up to shake hands. "It feels like just yesterday we were working together." "Yeah, time flies. How have you been?" Lucas asked, genuinely interested as he took a seat beside Ken, feeling a sense of comfort. As their conversation flowed, Ken gestured towards the script in his hand. "I've been going over some of the questions we're likely to face during the interviews." "It's quite the list," he explained, offering the script to Lucas. Lucas took it, scanning through the questions thoughtfully. "This is thorough," he commented, his eyes catching a particular note about the film's premiere. "Looks like Inception is set to have its first screening in London." "That's a big deal." Ken nodded, his expression mirroring the significance of the event. "Yes, it is. London's always been a fantastic place for premieres. Plus, it gives us a chance to connect with the European audience right off the bat." "Exactly," Ken agreed. "The response in London can really influence the global perception of the film." Lucas nodded, understanding the weight of the situation. "I think Inception has what it takes to impress." Ken and Lucas were deep in conversation when the room's atmosphere shifted subtly. Christopher Nolan entered, bringing a new level of energy. Lucas immediately stood up, extending his hand. "Chris, great to see you again." Christopher smiled, accepting the handshake. "Good to see you too, Lucas. How have you been preparing?" "Just brushing up on everything," Lucas replied. "Excited to get started." As they chatted, the room gradually filled with the rest of the cast. Tom Hardy, Ellen Page, and Marion Cotillard made their entrances, adding to the growing anticipation of the meeting. Marion approached Lucas with a friendly smile. "We meet again, Lucas. How are you doing since our last project?" Lucas returned the smile. "I'm doing quite well, thank you. How about yourself?" Their conversation caught the attention of Tom, who raised an eyebrow playfully. "Hey, what's this? You two seem quite cozy. What's the scoop?" Lucas chuckled, shaking his head at Tom's suspicion. "Haha, Marion and I recently worked together again on an indie film." "That's all?" Marion added, nodding. "Yes, Lucas was actually the lead. He did an amazing job, as usual." This revelation slightly surprised everyone in the room, including Christopher Nolan. They hadn't expected Lucas to have taken on such a significant role alongside Marion. Tom couldn't resist a tease. "Oh? Lucas is really doing well for himself. Hollywood's a piece of cake for you now, hey?" Lucas responded with a humble smile, "Piece of cake? I wouldn't say that. I'm not in your league yet, Tom." Tom chuckled, not letting the moment pass. "Oh come on, Lucas. No need to be humble here. I saw you getting some spotlight time at the Emmys. And even that Brit, Ricky Gervais, gave you a shout out. Don't tell me you're not killing it in Hollywood." The room echoed with amusement at Tom's comment, while Lucas could only laugh softly in response, acknowledging the unexpected mention at the Emmys. Curiosity piqued, the other main casts, including Ellen Page and Ken Watanabe, leaned in, eager to hear more about Lucas's Emmy experience. "So, what was it like? Getting called out by Ricky Gervais must have been something," Ellen asked, her eyes sparkling with interest. Chris chimed in, a grin playing on his lips. "Yeah, Ricky's hoping to see you at the Golden Globes next, just so he can try to make you cry." The room filled with laughter at Chris's comment, the light-hearted mood infectious among the cast. Lucas took the ribbing in stride, sharing his Emmy experience and the surreal feeling of being acknowledged by Ricky Gervais. "It was definitely unexpected. But hey, if it gets a laugh, I'm all for it," Lucas said, his good humor evident. While Lucas was deeply engaged in conversation with the cast and director, he was totally unaware that the trailers and teasers for Inception, featuring him prominently as Arthur, had been released. This significant exposure marked his second major film appearance and was gradually introducing him to a wider audience. Yet, the full impact of Inception on Lucas's career, following its public screening, remained an intriguing uncertainty. Chapter 159, Trending. Many people across the USA and London stumbled upon the trailer for Inception, captivated immediately by the draw of Leonardo DiCaprio in the lead role and the allure of a film directed by Christopher Nolan. The anticipation for this high-concept thriller was palpable. In the trailer for Inception, the narrator's voice sets a mysterious and compelling tone, from the director of The Dark Knight, and this September, enter a world where dreams are real. The backdrop shifts through dreamlike cityscapes, folding upon themselves, as Leonardo DiCaprio's character navigates the complexities of the mind. As the narrator's voice overlays these lines, the trailer presents a series of captivating visuals. Among these, Lucas as Arthur, looking sharply dressed and collected amidst the chaos. The trailer doesn't linger overly long on any one scene, but the snippets of Lucas, especially a moment where he's seen skillfully navigating a fight in a gravity-defying environment, make a mark. This scene is quick but effective, leaving viewers intrigued by his character without needing to delve deeply into his acting prowess. On social media platforms like Yahoo and Twitter, the excitement was electric. Fans of Leonardo DiCaprio and Christopher Nolan were engrossed in discussions about the newly released trailer for Inception. The conversations were a mix of anticipation for Nolan's directorial genius and DiCaprio's leading role. At Leo Loves Cinema, just watched the number Inception trailer. Leonardo DiCaprio plus Christopher Nolan equals masterpiece. Can't wait. The hashtag number Inception quickly became a trending topic on Twitter, drawing in a crowd eager to dissect every detail of the trailer. The buzz was largely centered around the collaboration between DiCaprio and Nolan, a duo that fans had high expectations for. Meanwhile, Yahoo was alight with articles and forums filled with fan theories and discussions. As the Inception trailer made its debut, Yahoo News and other online news outlets were quick to cover the buzz surrounding Christopher Nolan's latest project. The discussions were more focused on unpacking the trailer's mysteries and speculating about the film's potential narrative directions. Inside Inception, decoding Christopher Nolan's latest film, one Yahoo News headline announced, inviting readers to dive into a detailed analysis of the released footage. The article dissected various scenes, pondering the significance of Leonardo DiCaprio's character and the dreamlike sequences that had become the talk of the town. Another popular piece was titled, "What to Expect from Nolan's Inception, A Look Beyond the Trailer." This feature speculated on the narrative structure and thematic elements, drawing on Nolan's track record for twisting plotlines and deep philosophical undertones. Fans and critics alike contributed their thoughts, debating whether Inception would follow in the cerebral footsteps of Nolan's previous works. Social media platforms were ablaze with similar discussions. Fans shared screenshots and clips from the trailer, analyzing every detail and exchanging theories about the film's plot and how it would unfold. The conversation was rich with questions and predictions, though no one could say for certain what Nolan had in store. As Inception continued to trend across social media following the release of its enigmatic trailer, the spotlight was primarily on the collaboration between Christopher Nolan and Leonardo DiCaprio. However, amidst the flood of discussions and analyses, a dedicated fan of Lucas made a keen observation. At Lucas Fanatic, OMG, is that Lucas? He is in Nolan's new film? Inception Lucas. This tweet quickly captured the attention of the relatively smaller but passionate community of Lucas fans. Excitement bubbled within this niche group as more of them began to notice and acknowledge Lucas's presence in the high-profile trailer. At Kanye West Lover, just rewatched the Inception trailer and yes, that's definitely Lucas. He looks amazing in that zero-gravity fight scene. Smiling face with heart-shaped eyes, can't believe he's working with Nolan and DiCaprio. The discovery sparked a series of discussions among Lucas's fans, who were thrilled to see him involved in such a significant project. They began to dissect his every move in the few seconds he appeared in the trailer, praising his cool demeanor and the seamless integration into Nolan's visually stunning world. At Next Big Star Fan, Lucas in a Nolan film is a game-changer. His scene in the trailer had such an intense vibe. Can't wait to see more of him in Inception. This could be his big break. Social media threads and fan forums started filling up with frame-by-frame analyses of Lucas's scenes from the trailer, with fans expressing pride and anticipation for his role in the film. Some even began theorizing about the character he might be playing and how it would fit into the larger narrative of Inception. At Art House Addict, did everyone see how Lucas held his own in that trailer? His character looks integral to the plot. Nolan wouldn't just cast anyone. This is huge for him. Inception Team Lucas. The buzz around Lucas's participation in Inception was a testament to his growing fanbase and their dedication. While they were a smaller group compared to the massive followings of DiCaprio and Nolan, their enthusiasm and support for Lucas were unwavering, demonstrating the impact even a brief trailer appearance could have on an actor's recognition and the excitement it could generate among fans. After the main cast, including a fashionably late Leonardo DiCaprio, gathered, Lucas and the others made their way to the airport. To blend in and avoid recognition, Leonardo wore a cap and shades, a common disguise for celebrities hoping for a bit of anonymity. Together, the cast boarded a flight bound for London, their destination being the vibrant West End, specifically, the renowned Leicester Square Theatre, where Inception was set to have its first grand screening. The buzz created by the trailers and teasers released a few days earlier had done its job. News of the film's premiere at Leicester Square Theatre had spread rapidly among fans and cinephiles. As a result, even before the cast's plane had touched down on London soil, a crowd of eager fans had already begun to gather outside the theatre, their excitement palpable. Most were there in hopes of catching a glimpse of Leonardo DiCaprio or getting a sneak peek at Christopher Nolan, whose work had amassed a dedicated following over the years. The anticipation for Inception was sky-high, fueled by the fascinating trailers and the star-studded cast associated with the project. Chapter 160, Odeon looks Leicester Square. Before heading to the highly anticipated first screening of Inception in London's West End, Lucas and the rest of the cast took some much-needed time to rest and prepare. After the long flight, they checked into a luxurious hotel in central London, each cast member retreating to their respective rooms for a moment of solitude and relaxation after the bustling travel and media attention. Lucas took this opportunity to unwind, reflecting on the journey that had brought him to this point. He showered, changed into fresh clothes, and spent a quiet moment collecting his thoughts. There was a mix of excitement and nerves about the upcoming premiere and the reception of the film. Meanwhile, Leonardo DiCaprio reviewed notes for potential red carpet questions and revisited his understanding of the film's complex plot to ensure he could articulate his thoughts clearly to the press. He also chose an outfit that balanced elegance with comfort, knowing the evening would be long and filled with interviews and interactions. The other cast members, including Tom Hardy, Ellen Page, and Marion Cotillard, followed suit, each engaging in their own rituals to center themselves. Some rehearsed answers, while others listened to music or meditated to calm their nerves. A day had passed, and as the time for the screening approached, the cast regrouped in the hotel lobby, appearing refreshed and ready. They shared a quiet moment of solidarity, aware that they were about to present their collective effort to the world. Finally, they boarded a private bus that would take them to Leicester Square Theatre. As they made their way through the bustling streets of London, they discussed their shared anticipation as they approached the momentous event. The private bus smoothly pulled up to the theatre, where they were immediately met with the flashing lights of media cameras and the enthusiastic cheers of crowds gathered along the sides of the red carpet. Lucas stepped off the bus, taking a moment to take in the vibrant scene before him. The excitement in the air was palpable, almost rivaling the electric atmosphere he had experienced at the Golden Globe red carpet. He observed fans waving banners, their chants rising above the din, predominantly shouting names like Leonardo DiCaprio's and those of other prominent cast members. This moment felt surreal to Lucas, the dazzling lights, the press lining up for interviews, and the fans' animated chatter created a spectacle reminiscent of the grandeur he had seen in Hollywood, yet unique in its own right. He adjusted his suit, took a deep breath, and prepared himself to step onto the red carpet amidst the cheers for stars like Leonardo DiCaprio, Christopher Nolan, and Ken Watanabe, among others. While Lucas wasn't as well known, he still managed to capture the London crowd's attention thanks to his memorable scenes in the trailers, especially those featuring the disorienting gravity, like the rotating hallway and room scenes in Inception. His presence on screen, even in brief glimpses, had sparked curiosity and recognition, drawing eyes even in the midst of more established celebrities. As Lucas stepped closer to the vibrant throng of fans and flashing cameras, he could hear the excited murmurs and shouts from the London audience. "There's Leonardo DiCaprio! Leo, over here!" shouted a group of fans, their voices blending into a chorus of admiration as the renowned actor approached. "Christopher Nolan! Mr. Nolan, can you sign this?" another fan called out, holding up a poster for the acclaimed director to see. Ken Watanabe, Cillian Murphy, and Marion Cotillard received their share of applause and cheers as they made their way along the red carpet, with fans calling out their names and expressing their excitement. Then, as Lucas stepped onto the red carpet, a curious murmur spread through the crowd. "Hey, isn't that the guy from the trailer? The one in the crazy hallway scene?" one onlooker questioned, pointing in Lucas's direction. "The one with the crazy hallway scene?" one fan whispered to another, pointing in Lucas's direction. "Yeah, that's him. The gravity scene was insane," another responded, their eyes widening in recognition. Lucas couldn't help but smile, pleasantly surprised by the recognition. Despite being a fresh face, the distinctive scene he was a part of had left an impression just from the trailer alone, and he could hear snippets of conversations and see pointing fingers as he passed. "Hey, who's that guy? The one from those hallway clips?" someone inquired, nudging the person next to him, his curiosity piqued about Lucas. Those nearby were initially just as clueless about the actor's name, scratching their heads in wonder. However, a few fans in the crowd who recognized Lucas were quick to fill in the blanks. "Oh, that's Lucas. Lucas Knight!" they eagerly called out. As Lucas and the other cast members made their way along the red carpet, the atmosphere was electrifying. The media, stationed at various points, were eager to capture every moment. Their first stop was Christopher Nolan, the mastermind behind Inception. Reporters flocked to him, microphones extended, vying for his insights into the film's creation and his expectations for its reception. After Nolan, the media's attention shifted seamlessly to Leonardo DiCaprio, the film's leading star. Questions flew about his role, his interpretation of the complex script, and his experience working with Nolan. DiCaprio, with his usual charisma, engaged with each question thoughtfully, his answers illuminating yet leaving enough suspense to entice viewers. As Lucas advanced down the red carpet, a reporter from BBC News stepped forward, microphone in hand, signaling for his attention. "Lucas, hi. May I ask you a few questions? Audiences saw a glimpse of you in the Inception trailers, particularly in those gravity-defying scenes. Can you share what it was like working on such a unique set?" Lucas smiled, turning to the reporter. "Absolutely, it was an incredible experience. Working with Chris Nolan is always a dream for any actor, and those scenes, well, they were as challenging as they were thrilling. The rotating set required intense focus and physicality, which was a fantastic challenge." Another reporter, from Sky News, chimed in, capturing the moment on her camera. "Lucas, this is a major role for you, working alongside Leonardo DiCaprio and under Christopher Nolan's direction. How did you prepare for the role of Arthur?" He nodded in response to the question, his eyes reflecting a thoughtful demeanor. "Thank you for asking," he began, his voice steady and clear. "Preparing for the role of Arthur involved immersing myself fully into the script. It was important for me to grasp the essence of the character and the overarching vision of the project. Of course, I also brought my own interpretation to Arthur, aligning it with Christopher Nolan's direction and expectations." A journalist from The Guardian, noting his humble response, asked, "And how does it feel now, seeing the fans' reaction and being here in London for the premiere?" Lucas looked around, taking in the scene before answering, "It's surreal. I'm incredibly grateful for the fans' enthusiasm and just to be part of this amazing project. London's reception has been wonderful, and I'm excited for everyone to see the film." With each question, Lucas demonstrated his appreciation for the project and his co-stars, while also giving due credit to the creative minds behind Inception. His interviews, though brief, offered a glimpse into his dedication to the role and the collaborative spirit of the film's production. Chapter 161, Inception Screening. After the flurry of interviews wrapped up, Lucas and his fellow cast members transitioned to the red carpet photo session. Amid the incessant flashing of cameras and the photographers' calls for attention, they grouped together, capturing moments that would soon be plastered over media outlets worldwide. Once the cameras had their fill, Lucas, along with Christopher Nolan and a handful of the film's pivotal crew members, proceeded into the theater. The air inside was electric, charged with the collective anticipation of the audience. Lucas took his place among the ensemble, close to the director, feeling the weight of the moment. Positioned within the audience, esteemed film critics from both sides of the Atlantic had secured their spots, their pens poised to transcribe their initial reactions. Figures from London's The Guardian and Time Out, along with Hollywood's Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, were all present, their analytical minds ready to dissect Nolan's newest cinematic offering. As the audience nestled into their seats, the theater lights dimmed, heralding the onset of the film. A hush enveloped the room, every pair of eyes locked in anticipation on the screen. Lucas inhaled deeply, feeling the collective breath of the room tighten in anticipation. As the opening scenes of Inception began to unfold, Lucas felt the weight of the journey that had led to this instant. The adventure was indeed about to begin. As the opening sequence of Inception unfolded on the screen, the audience was immediately drawn into the intricate world Christopher Nolan had crafted. The dialogue between Sato and Cobb, the concept of ideas being resilient and contagious, set a thought-provoking tone that captivated everyone in the theater. During the opening sequence where the concept of ideas being like resilient parasites is introduced, the audience is drawn into the intellectual and philosophical underpinnings of the story. The dialogue between Cobb and Sato in the elegant dining room sets the stage for a thought-provoking exploration of the human mind, sparking curiosity and intrigue. "Wow, just the opening and it's already intense," whispered a critic from The Guardian, scribbling notes fervently. As Lucas's character, Arthur, demonstrates his calm and composed demeanor, especially in contrast to Leonardo's character, Cobb, who displays moments of anger, the audience starts to appreciate the complexity and depth of Arthur's character. His level-headedness, even under pressure, makes him a captivating figure, contrasting with Cobb's more volatile emotions. "That new guy, Lucas, he's really holding his ground," one critic from Film Weekly commented quietly to a colleague. "His portrayal of Arthur adds a fascinating dynamic alongside DiCaprio's Cobb." Another, a well-known reviewer from Time Out, nodded in agreement, jotting down notes. "There's a subtlety to his performance that's quite refreshing. It's impressive, especially for a newcomer in such a complex Nolan film. He brings a certain depth to Arthur." As the narrative of Inception deepens, centered largely on Cobb's journey, brilliantly brought to life by Leonardo DiCaprio, we approach a critical moment. Sato enlists Cobb and his team for a deep dive into Fisher's psyche, marking a pivotal turn in the story. Ellen Page's introduction as Ariadne brings a wave of relief and pride from Ellen herself, seated among the audience, as she witnesses the warm reception to her character's debut. The plot thickens as Cobb, Arthur, Ariadne, and the team prepare for their ambitious venture into Fisher's mind, while aboard a plane. Unexpected hurdles soon emerge, particularly when Sato is injured, leading Cobb to cast blame upon Arthur. This scene, a highlight for viewers, showcases Lucas's portrayal of Arthur, who remains unflappably calm under Cobb's fierce scrutiny. This contrast between Arthur's tranquility and Cobb's escalating tension, especially as Cobb conceals the grave risk of limbo, leaves the audience thoroughly impressed by Arthur's character. The story deepens, weaving through the intricate layers of the dream world, when unexpectedly, Arthur shares a spontaneous kiss with Ariadne, a maneuver designed to throw off the projections pursuing them. This unexpected moment reveals a different facet of Arthur to the audience, who had pegged him as the stoic and unflappable type. Little did they know, this scene hadn't been planned. The unscripted scene triggers laughter among both the crew and cast, with Ellen Page's cheeks turning a shade of pink and DiCaprio sending Lucas a playful nudge, while Lucas himself offers a sly grin in response. As the plot reaches its zenith with the gravity-defying sequences in the rotating hallway and room, Arthur's prowess in these intense combat scenes mesmerizes the audience. The flawless choreography paired with Lucas's skilled portrayal makes these scenes unforgettable highlights of the film. Under Nolan's direction and fueled by Lucas's talent, these moments showcase his remarkable abilities, injecting the film with an electrifying sense of excitement. The audience is thoroughly engrossed, their reactions a mix of wonder and admiration, especially during the gravity-defying scenes where Arthur remains cool and collected. They can't help but be impressed by Lucas's performance, particularly his graceful handling of the demanding and high-stakes action, creating a stark contrast to DiCaprio's increasingly tense Cobb. This contrast elevates Lucas's portrayal of Arthur, capturing the audience's attention and leaving a lasting impression on their cinematic experience of Inception. Incredible, a critic whispers into the darkness, hastily jotting down thoughts. Arthur just stole the scene. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the audience. Did you catch that? I thought it only looked good in the trailer, but I was so wrong. Arthur was amazing in that part. It's evident that Lucas's depiction of Arthur, with his steady calm amidst the surrounding turmoil, has profoundly impacted all who watched, marking him as a standout talent in a film brimming with remarkable performances. The film pressed on towards its climax. Tension crackled in the air as the scene shifted to Cobb on a desperate mission within the dream. He was there to rescue Sato, teetering on the brink of oblivion in the depths of limbo. But a familiar face awaited him: Mal, his ex-wife. As Adriadne, with a heavy heart, abandoned Cobb to face Mal alone, the audience watched with bated breath. Cobb's gaze met Mal's, and a torrent of memories washed over them. The silence shattered as a song, hauntingly beautiful, filled the theater. The audience, recognizing the voice of the actor portraying Arthur, listened intently as the lyrics began. When you try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse. The song, Fix You, resonated with Cobb's internal struggle. Images flickered on screen, glimpses of a past filled with love and loss. Tears welled in Cobb's eyes, mirroring the raw emotion in the song. Chapter 162, Reactions. Odeon looks Leicester Square. As the film draws to a close, the audience witness Cobb's final act of salvation, pulling Sato back from the depths of limbo. The scene transitions to the plane, where Cobb and his team are en route back to reality. There's a poignant moment as Cobb surveys the faces of his team members Arthur, Sato, Ariadne, and the others. Despite the camaraderie shared throughout their intense dream endeavors, there's an unmistakable air of unfamiliarity, a subtle disconnect, as if questioning the depth of their bond outside the layers of dreams. This feeling of uncertainty isn't isolated to Cobb alone, it extends to Arthur, Ariadne, Sato, and the rest, painting a complex picture of familiarity tinged with alienation. The film concludes with Cobb spinning his totem one last time before being reunited with his children. The scene cuts away before revealing the fate of the totem, leaving the audience suspended in ambiguity. As Fix You by Lucas swells in the background, the emotional impact deepens, drawing the audience further into the bittersweet resolution. As the credits begin to roll, the theater erupts in applause. Christopher Nolan and Leonardo DiCaprio share appreciative smiles, acknowledging the audience's warm reception. However, the applause extends beyond them, encompassing the entire cast and crew. As the audience stands, clapping, many can't help but focus their admiration on Lucas, the actor behind the compelling portrayal of Arthur. His extraordinary performance, particularly in the breathtaking gravity-defying scenes, has indeed made a significant impact, setting him apart as a remarkable talent amid a cast of seasoned performers. Compounding this admiration is the haunting melody of Fix You, sung by Lucas himself, which echoes through the theater as the credits roll. The emotional depth and rawness he brings to the song deeply resonate with the audience, adding another layer to their connection with his character. Whispers and murmurs ripple through the crowd, a mix of awe and curiosity. Did you see Arthur's scenes? That actor was something else, one viewer comments to their friend, the intrigue clear in their voice, unaware of Lucas's real name but deeply moved by his portrayal. Another leaned over to whisper, I didn't catch his real name, but Arthur, his scenes were the highlight for me. And that voice during the credits, was that really him? The person next to him, eyes still fixed on the screen, replied, I'm not sure if that was him singing. But if it was, that actor is truly remarkable. The song was hauntingly beautiful, it really brought the whole film together. While not everyone knows Lucas by name, the character of Arthur has become synonymous with a captivating and soulful performance that transcends the screen. People are leaving the theater impressed, many making mental notes to look up the actor who played Arthur once they're home. Critics, jotting down their initial thoughts in the dim light, found themselves grappling with mixed feelings about the film and its elements. Yet, when it came to Lucas and his portrayal of Arthur, their pens flowed with unreserved praise. Despite having critiques for other aspects of the film or performances, they unanimously recognized Lucas's contribution as exceptional. The gravity-defying scenes, in particular, were highlighted as moments where Lucas didn't just contribute but arguably stole the spotlight. One by one, they penned their observations, their words shaping the narrative of the evening's cinematic journey. At the forefront of their critiques was Lucas, the fresh-faced actor who had brought Arthur to life with exceptional skill. Lucas's portrayal of Arthur is a revelation, wrote one critic, pausing to find the right words to encapsulate the actor's impact. In a cast adorned with seasoned performers, Lucas stands out, not just for his talent, but for the subtlety and depth he brings to Arthur. His performance in the gravity-defying scenes is not merely convincing, it is mesmerizing, demonstrating a mastery of physicality and expression that is rare. Another critic, mulling over Lucas's surprising rendition of Fix You during the credits, shared, "The song that echoed not once but twice during the film was hauntingly beautiful, striking a chord deep within me. It's not just the melody but the lyrics too, they really hit home, resonating on a level I wasn't expecting." As their thoughts flowed onto paper, the critics found common ground. Lucas, a fresh face in a supporting role, delivered a performance that was nothing short of brilliant, imbuing his character with a sense of authenticity that made it seem as though Arthur truly belonged within the world of Inception. Lucas Knight. Here's an actor who commands your attention. His obvious talents prompts one to ponder, what does the future hold for him? As the film came to a close, the audience filed out of the theater, a buzz of satisfaction in the air. Outside, they were greeted by media eager to capture their initial reactions. One viewer, still visibly moved by the experience, shared, "The film was extraordinary, truly a journey. And the film's scores, it just tied everything together beautifully. I'd recommend this film to anyone, without hesitation." Another added, "I was completely swept away by the story and the characters. Inception captivated the audience immensely. The initial sequences, presenting the complex layers of dreams within dreams, sparked a mixture of confusion and intrigue among viewers. Phrases like 'wait, they're in a dream within a dream within a dream' echoed softly through the crowd. Yet, as the film progressed, confusion transformed into comprehension and awe at the ingenious concept. The audience was utterly blown away by the depth and originality of its themes. After the film concluded, the overwhelming consensus was one of satisfaction. Few were disappointed by Christopher Nolan's masterpiece. The film also boasted a plethora of unforgettable performances. Led by Leonardo DiCaprio, the ensemble cast shone brightly, delivering deeply impactful portrayals. Notably, the scenes featuring Lucas as Arthur, particularly those in the hallway, stood out as highlights, showcasing an impressive blend of physicality and intensity that captivated audiences and left a lasting impression. Chapter 163, International Recognition. The film Inception continued its screenings in London, captivating audiences with its intricate storyline and stunning visuals. After the showings, many viewers were intrigued by the character of Arthur and found themselves searching online for the actor who had brought him to screen. Although the actor's name was included in the credits, quite a few people had missed it while leaving the theater. Consequently, they were unaware of who played on some character. Lucas Knight, the actor behind Arthur, began to receive significant attention from those who had seen Inception. Viewers were particularly taken with Lucas's performance. Many described him as charming and effortlessly cool. This sentiment was notably strong among female viewers, while male viewers also expressed admiration for Lucas, recognizing a sense of masculinity and depth in his portrayal. As audiences became more familiar with Lucas, they also started to notice his other projects like Modern Family and 127 Hours. Additionally, they stumbled upon his YouTube clip Singing Perfect, which had already racked up over millions of views, showcasing a different facet of his talent. While 127 Hours was also being shown in London, it initially didn't catch much attention beyond a dedicated group of film enthusiasts and fans of director Danny Boyle. Despite word-of-mouth buzz and its intense, sometimes shocking scenes, it couldn't quite compete with the massive draw of Inception, a commercial film featuring well-known star Leonardo DiCaprio and directed by the esteemed Christopher Nolan. However, after watching Inception, London viewers became intrigued and started searching online for more information about Lucas Knight. They found themselves increasingly drawn to his versatility as an actor. Whether portraying the goofy, laid-back character in Modern Family or delivering an intense performance in 127 Hours, Lucas's range of skills became evident, showcasing just how talented he really is. Unexpectedly, Lucas's role in Inception started winning him a new fanbase in London. Moreover, his involvement in this commercial hit also ended up boosting the visibility and box office success of 127 Hours in London, proving that his influence extended beyond his immediate role in the commercial film, contributing to increased interest in his other works as well. After watching Inception, Londoners flocked to platforms like Yahoo and Twitter to unpack the film's complexity and to sing praises for standout performances. In the midst of lively discussions about Inception's complex storyline and striking visuals, Lucas's performance as Arthur started trending among London's cinemagoers, leaving a strong impression with his standout moments in the film. On Twitter, a Londoner shared their excitement, tweeting, "Just watched Inception, and though everyone was fantastic, Leonardo was stellar as always, but Lucas as Arthur? Absolutely next level. His performance hit the mark perfectly bullseye. Has anyone else followed his work in Modern Family or 127 Hours? Just caught up on those two, and he's brilliant in every scene." The chatter wasn't just about his acting skills. Was completely unaware of Lucas Knight until now. Beyond his undeniable talent and incredible range, there's something undeniably captivating about him. Is it his charm or just his overall vibe? Either way, I'm officially a fan, exclaimed one Twitter user. The admiration quickly turned into a bit of a fun, with fans openly declaring their newfound actor crushes. "Okay, I'm officially announcing my latest actor crush," a user declared excitedly. Another chimed in, adding a playful twist, "I'm a guy, but I've got to admit, Lucas kinda stole my heart there." Faced with tears of joy, this light-hearted banter sparked a series of jokes, spreading smiles and laughter among those joining in on the conversation. Meanwhile, Lucas's dedicated fans in the USA, keeping tabs on the London screenings of Inception, noticed the flood of compliments coming Lucas's way from across the pond. Thrilled by his growing international acclaim, one fan shared, "Lucas Knight getting international recognition? About time. He's incredibly versatile and such a talented artist. It's high time the world recognized his brilliance." Another enthusiast echoed the sentiment on Twitter, saying, "Seeing all this love for Lucas Knight from the London fans is just heartwarming. Whether it's his spot-on comedic timing in Modern Family or his commitment in 127 Hours, he's shown he's more than just a one-dimensional actor, he's proven time and again that he's a force to be reckoned with. Lucas deserves it, comedy and tragedy masks." Meanwhile, over on a Yahoo discussion forum, a lively thread titled "Lucas Knight, from TV series to indie films to blockbusters" was bustling with activity from Lucas's dedicated fans and curious newcomers. "I've followed Lucas since his days in Modern Family, and his growth as an actor is astounding. Seeing him in Inception and then rewatching 127 Hours, it's clear he's got a knack for diverse roles," shared one fan. This particular fan even jetted off to London, not drawn by the allure of DiCaprio or Nolan, but solely to support Lucas Knight at the premiere of Inception. Seeing Lucas's talent being celebrated in London brought immense joy and a sense of vindication to his dedicated fan base back in the USA. "Lucas finally getting the international acclaim he deserves feels so rewarding," exclaimed a devoted fan. "His portrayal of Arthur really shines, but that's just scratching the surface of his capabilities. Thrilled to see him winning hearts in London." The conversations across forums and social media platforms echoed a deep respect and admiration for Lucas's work, underscoring his remarkable versatility and depth as an actor. As fans from London to the US explored his body of work, the consensus was unmistakable: Lucas Knight's profound talent and adaptability were irrefutable, with his role in Inception marking a significant milestone in his career and paving the way for the recognition his fans think he deserves. Meanwhile, on Lucas's end, due to the promotional tour, he found himself in the whirlwind of interviews alongside the main cast and director Christopher Nolan, as Inception was being championed in London. Back in the USA, with the film's premiere on the horizon, an array of interviews, Q&A sessions and promotional events awaited Lucas, along with the rest of the cast and Nolan. Warner Brothers had an additional treat in store for fans: plans to release behind-the-scenes footage of Inception, with a particular focus on the making of those captivating scenes featuring Lucas as Arthur in the rotating hallway and room. This peek behind the curtain promised to provide an intriguing insight into the innovative filmmaking process and Lucas's dedication to his role. Chapter 164, US and UK nationwide screening. Following the screenings of Inception at the Odeon Lux Leicester Square, the subsequent days turned out to be a whirlwind of activity for Lucas and his fellow cast members. In just a few days, Lucas, Ellen Page, and the rest of the team found themselves engaging with multiple media outlets. Presently, Lucas and Ellen Page were in the midst of another interview when the interviewer posed a question that seemed to catch them off guard, reflecting on the intricate puzzle and storyline of Inception. The interviewer asked, could you share with us a moment during the filming or after watching the final cut where even you were left puzzled or intrigued by the complexity and layers of Inception's plot? The interviewer then focused on a pivotal topic, adding, moreover, the ending of Inception remains a widely debated topic among fans due to its open-ended nature. I'm curious about your perspectives on the final sequence where Cobb spins the totem. What is your interpretation of this scene, and what do you believe it conveys to the viewers? Lucas responded with a smile, personally, I had a pretty solid grasp on the plot, having been immersed in it from the start. Christopher Nolan had been crafting this story for 10 years, so to me, there weren't really any holes in the narrative. Sure, the ending leaves room for ambiguity. Cobb spinning his totem is a deliberate choice by Nolan. He wants the audience to engage, to imagine, and interpret their own endings. It's a reflection of how we all perceive things differently, which, in turn, shapes our realities. For Cobb, reuniting with his children is his reality. That's the crux of his journey and, to me, the most important part. The interviewer shifted focus to Ellen, asking, do you share the same view? Ellen chuckled, having been watching Lucas articulate his thoughts. She hadn't pondered as deeply as Lucas had, but opted not to reveal this. Pointing to Lucas, she said with a playful smile, yeah, I'm on the same page as Lucas. He took the words out of my mouth, but yet. Both Lucas and the interviewer couldn't help but chuckles at Ellen's light-hearted remark. However, Ellen didn't stop there, she proceeded to share her own insights on the plot and the conclusion of Inception, her views echoing Lucas's despite her modest preamble. After some time, the interview concluded. Lucas and Ellen then moved on to face a series of other interviewers, including some from abroad. Despite the marathon of questions, they responded with respect and thoughtfulness. Finally, the day's press junket wrapped up, signaling a brief respite for the duo. However, they knew that another round of interviews awaited them the following day. Warner Brothers invested significantly in marketing and promoting the film, leveraging Christopher Nolan's reputation as a hallmark of quality in commercial cinema to draw audiences. Additionally, the presence of Leonardo DiCaprio as the lead added a considerable layer of anticipation, with fans eagerly awaiting the film's release. A few days later, the film screened nationwide in both the United Kingdom and the United States. As soon as it hit the screens, many people flocked to theaters to catch this highly anticipated movie, alongside other films debuting on the same day. Several films were showing alongside Inception, each with its unique draw and audience. Titles such as Resident Evil, Afterlife, The American, Takers, Machete, Going the Distance, Eat Pray Love, The Expendables, The Other Guys, The Last Exorcism, and The Switch were all part of the cinematic lineup. Despite the stiff competition, Inception had the potential to distinguish itself and achieve significant box office success, given the high levels of anticipation and the draw of its star-studded cast and acclaimed director. Meanwhile, in New York, USA, Paul Sterling and his girlfriend, Josephine, made their way into a theater showing Inception. As they settled into their seats, Josephine turned to Paul and whispered, "Your friend is really carving out a successful career in Hollywood, isn't he?" Paul couldn't help but smile and responded, "Yeah, it's still a bit surreal to see Lucas thriving so well in his acting career." Josephine chuckled and leaned closer to Paul, adding, "And it's not just his acting, he's making waves in music too. His album is actually one of my favorites." Paul looked at Josephine, a hint of conflict in his gaze. His agent had suggested they break up, believing Josephine was a distraction from his career. Yet, facing her now, he couldn't entertain the thought. Shaking off the negativity, he refocused on the present moment. Together, they turned their attention to Inception, sharing popcorn as the film unfolded. Both Paul and Josephine, along with the rest of the first-time audience, found themselves thoroughly impressed and engrossed in the movie's complex plot. As scenes featuring Lucas as Arthur played out on the screen, Paul and Josephine, having personally met Lucas, were once again struck by his incredible acting and impressive stunt work. Paul noticed that many in the audience were also taken with Lucas's portrayal, whispering to their friends or partner about the character of Arthur. It was clear that Arthur's cool, charming demeanor, particularly his professionalism and calm in crises where even Cobb seemed to falter, captured everyone's admiration. Paul had to admit, Arthur embodied the kind of poise and assurance that many aspire to. His character was not only what many men wanted to be but also what many women found appealing. Despite being a fictional character, Arthur's traits and demeanor left a significant impression on the audience. Beside Paul, Lucas's other close friends also made their way to the theater to catch the film. Liza, Samantha, and even Leonard, who brought along his girlfriend of 1 month. Watching Lucas grace the screen, knowing that potentially thousands of eyes in several theaters were on him each day, felt utterly surreal to them. This experience marked a special moment for them. They could now proudly say they were friends with someone famous, someone they were genuinely close to. Chapter 165, Melvin. On September 16, 2010, the blockbuster Inception soared to a remarkable $25 million in box office sales on its opening day. This figure was both anticipated and surprising. Warner Bros. Analysts had initially forecasted first-day earnings to be in the range of $18 to $21 million. The leap to $25 million was a pleasant shock. Warner Bros. Believed their marketing efforts played a big role, yet it became clear that word-of-mouth recommendations significantly boosted the film's success. Moreover, beyond the stellar performances by the cast, with Lucas shining particularly brightly, an unexpected factor contributed to the film's appeal: the music. The score, particularly the song Fix You performed by Lucas within the movie, drew audiences back for repeated viewings. Film enthusiasts, especially those with a love for music, found a compelling reason to return. Not only was the movie itself captivating, but the soundtrack, featuring Lucas's rendition, added an additional layer of enjoyment. As Inception surged in popularity, it was heavily promoted on television through trailers and teasers, while social media platforms like Yahoo and Twitter buzzed with conversations about the film. Audiences who watched the film were particularly captivated by the performance of the emerging actor, Lucas. With an existing base of dedicated fans online who promoted Lucas's work without charge, those who were previously unaware of him until Inception started to explore more about the young actor. As they delved deeper, many grew to admire Lucas, further boosting his recognition and appeal. "I just saw Inception, and wow, the entire cast was amazing. Leonardo was spectacular, but the story was even more so, another Nolan masterpiece. But let me tell you, that hallway scene where gravity goes haywire? The actor playing Arthur nailed it. He's easily become one of my favorite characters in the movie," tweeted one user, clearly taken by Lucas's portrayal of Arthur. "Does anyone know if the guy who played Arthur has been in other movies? I'm really curious to see more from such a talented actor," mused another user, intrigued by Lucas's performance. "His name's Lucas Knight. You should definitely check out his other projects. He's been in Modern Family and also 127 Hours, which has already made $19 million domestically, and that's not even counting international sales," replied a dedicated Lucas fan, eager to spread the word. As more Lucas fans chimed in with recommendations and praise, a wave of curiosity spread among the users. Many started to seek out Lucas's films, genuinely interested in following the career of an actor who had so impressed them in Inception. On a bustling film set, a young, handsome man in his 20s lounges in the director's chair, scrolling through Twitter on his iPhone with an air of casual interest. The hashtag #Inception catches his eye, trending prominently among the day's topics. Driven by curiosity, he taps on the trending hashtag, and a stream of Inception-related tweets floods his screen. He skims through them nonchalantly until suddenly, a familiar face appears in one of the posts, leaving him thoroughly shocked. "Wait, is that?" he blurted out, causing heads to turn in his direction. Realizing the sudden attention, he quickly scratched the back of his head, dismissing it with a sheepish, "Ah, it's nothing, really." But his curiosity wasn't quelled. Returning to his phone, the photo before him left no room for doubt. It was unmistakably someone he'd known for years. The young man in the picture, with blonde hair and dressed in a sleek suit, captured in the act of adjusting his tie in a corridor. The tweet accompanying the photo declared, "This is my favorite character in the film Inception. Can we all agree that the hallway scene is the most iconic and masterpiece scene in the whole movie?" Staring at the image, the revelation hit him hard. "Lucas. I didn't expect you to become an actor," he muttered under his breath. This young man, in his 20s, turned out to be Lucas's stepbrother, Melvin Knight. Wrapped up in his own projects and the hustle of film sets, Melvin hadn't caught any of the Inception trailers and was unaware of Lucas's role in the high-profile Warner Bros. Film. It was only in this stolen moment of leisure that he discovered Lucas was part of Christopher Nolan's influential project. Melvin, Lucas's stepbrother, actually had a decent relationship with him, unlike the rest of their family. His siblings and mother, Mila, would have preferred Lucas out of their lives. Mila harbored deep-seated anger, stemming from her hidden existence as Vince's secret partner while Lucas's mother was publicly recognized as his wife. This forced secrecy, living as nothing more than a mistress, bred resentment in Mila, which unfortunately extended to Lucas. He was, after all, the son of the woman she believed had caused her years of suffering. However, Melvin saw things differently. He believed the fault lay with his own parents, not with Lucas or his mother. Despite this, his perspective was a rare one in the family, as his siblings seemed to echo their mother's sentiments. Sigh. What would my siblings think if they saw this? Melvin mused, shaking his head in contemplation. As 127 Hours continued to make waves at the box office, surpassing the impressive milestone of $35 million both domestically in the USA and internationally, the film's success marked a significant moment for Lucas. Reflecting the film's triumph, he received a substantial bonus of $90,000, a testament to his contribution and the film's impact. The unexpected rise in Lucas's popularity, fueled by his standout role in the blockbuster Inception, had a ripple effect. Interest in 127 Hours spiked, leading to a surge in box office sales. Observers and insiders started speculating that the film could potentially reach, or even surpass, the $50 million mark. This development came as a pleasant surprise to Fox Searchlight and the production team behind 127 Hours, who hadn't anticipated the indirect boost from Lucas's growing fame. Lucas's involvement in Inception did more than just elevate his profile, it significantly broadened his horizons in the entertainment industry. In the USA, the UK, and potentially other markets, his name became at least more recognizable to those that watched Inception, synonymous with versatility and talent. This newfound stature caught the attention of the Big Six studios, major players in the industry keen on harnessing Lucas's multifaceted abilities. His acting prowess, musical talent, and remarkable stunt work particularly showcased in the iconic hallway scene of Inception made him a sought-after figure. Studios were now eager to collaborate with Lucas, looking to capitalize on his broad skill set and capitalize on his rising star in various capacities, from lead roles to musical contributions and beyond. Chapter 166, Major Offer. As the days of September rolled by, Lucas found himself caught up in the whirlwind promotional tour for Inception. Along with the other main cast members, he was featured in interviews across a variety of platforms, including MTV News, BBC Entertainment, Los Angeles Times, Rolling Stone, and The New York Times. As Lucas navigated a hectic schedule following the release of Inception, critics showered the film with high praise. On Rotten Tomatoes, Inception boasts an impressive approval rating of 94% based on 370 reviews, with a consensus highlighting it as smart, innovative, and thrilling. Metacritic supports this enthusiasm, signaling generally favorable reviews. The audience's response was robust, reflected in a solid B+ from CinemaScore. Amid the chorus of critical acclaim, notable reviewers offered their perspectives. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone was captivated, describing the film as a wildly ingenious chess game. Justin Chong from Variety celebrated it as a conceptual tour de force, while Jim Vejvoda of IGN hailed the film as a singular accomplishment. David Rourke from Relevant went as far as to call it Nolan's greatest accomplishment, applauding its all-encompassing brilliance. Yet, not every critique glowed with positivity. David Adelstein from New York Magazine and Rex Reed from the New York Observer voiced skepticism, probing the intense buzz that enveloped the film. Despite this, the nuanced debate around the film's conclusion and its layered storytelling only fueled further conversation and intrigue. While Christopher Nolan garnered much of the attention for his directorial prowess and the film's creative vision, the cast of Inception 2 received their share of accolades. Leonardo DiCaprio's leading performance was universally praised, but it was the emergence of Lucas, a new talent on the big screen, that truly surprised many. His performance, marked by a blend of subtlety, authenticity, and an impressive physicality especially noted in the gravity-defying hallway scene, drew particular acclaim from critics. Even amongst varying reviews, Lucas's portrayal consistently stood out. Reviewers, taken by his fresh and genuine approach, noted how his performance in the iconic hallway sequence not only showcased his stunt capabilities but also highlighted his ability to convey deep emotional undercurrents, making him a standout in a film filled with seasoned actors. This array of critiques, spanning from high praise for Nolan's ambitious venture to debates over its more divisive elements, found common ground on one aspect: the commendable performances of the Inception cast, particularly the newcomer Lucas. Critics across the board were united in their acclaim for his breakout role, distinguishing him as a standout talent among a cast of seasoned veterans. Inception soared at the box office in its first week, raking in an impressive $78.8 million domestically. This strong performance underscored the film's appeal and the public's eagerness to experience Nolan's latest masterpiece. As Inception's popularity grew, so did the recognition of Lucas as Arthur in the United States. His portrayal of the composed and skilled point man caught the attention of audiences and critics alike, setting the stage for a significant impact on his career. Amidst the buzz surrounding Inception, several talent managers in Hollywood sought to connect with Lucas, leading to a series of meetings in various LA cafes. Lucas took his time, engaging with each manager individually, fitting these important discussions into his busy schedule. While none of these managers held the same level of influence as the one he encountered at the Primetime Emmy Awards, Lucas recognized their resourcefulness and potential to align with his career aspirations. After careful consideration, Lucas chose to work with Neil Lamb. Neil appeared to have solid connections within the industry, coupled with a proven track record of skill and competence as outlined in his resume. More importantly, Lucas noted a personality in Neil that reminded him of Vincent, a sense of understanding and respect for Lucas's vision, rather than mere accolades on paper. This alignment in philosophy and approach, rather than Neil's professional achievements alone, ultimately guided Lucas's decision. As September faded into October of 2010, Inception maintained its grip as the favorite film among moviegoers for the year. By this point, Lucas had finally stepped away from the whirlwind of promotional tours and interviews for Inception. His newfound fame was now evident. Few people on the streets of Los Angeles began to recognize him, signaling his rise to celebrity status. Despite being recognized for his role in Inception, many people primarily knew Lucas as a singer. He often encountered fans who expressed their admiration for his music, eagerly asking, "I love your songs so much. When is your next album coming out?" Or remarking, "You're clearly a singer, but your acting is really good too." This public perception seemed to pigeonhole him more as a musician than an actor. Whenever Lucas shared these encounters with his agent and new manager, Neil, they couldn't help but laugh at the irony. Indeed, it was an amusing situation. Despite Lucas's growing acting portfolio, only 3 of his acting projects, Modern Family, 127 Hours, and Inception, had been released to the public. In contrast, his music career appeared more prominent as he had released more songs and even an album. This disparity led many to assume his primary career was in music rather than acting. Meanwhile, Neil took charge of the projects that piqued Lucas's interest, notably the production of 50/50, a comedy film Lucas was keen on joining, among other indie film projects he was considering auditioning for. However, as Lucas expressed his inclination towards independent cinema, Neil received a tempting proposition from major players, Columbia and Marvel Entertainment. They extended an offer for Lucas to join a highly popular superhero series, Spider-Man. Columbia and Marvel were impressed by Lucas's stunt work in Inception and, more so, by his acting that left a lasting impression on audiences. Impressed by his charm and skill, the creative minds behind the Spider-Man project saw in him the potential to bring Peter Parker to life. Motivated by this vision, they decided to pursue Lucas for the role, hoping he could embody the iconic character with the same finesse he brought to his previous performances. Neil, fully appreciating Lucas's dedication to his craft and preference for roles rich in storytelling and character depth, shared his thoughts on the new opportunity. "Lucas, your commitment to narratives with substance, typically found in indie films, is clear and admirable. But stepping into the lead role in Spider-Man, a major commercial project, could offer a unique acting experience," he explained thoughtfully. "You've shown your prowess in blockbusters like Inception, yet taking the helm as the main character in this one could open up a different realm of challenges and learning." As Neil expressed this, he watched Lucas closely, gauging his reaction. Lucas, meanwhile, remained silent, lost in thought as he considered the weight of Neil's words and the potential shifts such a role could bring to his career path. Chapter 167, Another Major Offers. Lucas pondered deeply, then turned to Neil with a thoughtful look. "Listen, Neil, I'm not against starring in blockbuster films, especially as the main character. But diving into superhero movies? I'm just not sure. It feels like it might be too soon for me," he expressed, pausing to take a sip of his coffee. He set down his cup and added, "Plus, there's the risk of being pigeonholed. If I take on a superhero role too early in my career, I might end up typecast. I could be known only for that character, not for my own name or for the range of my acting. In other words, I could be boxing myself in if I jump into this superhero role right now." Despite the allure and his own fondness for the Spider-Man character from his previous life, Lucas was wary. Becoming known merely as the superhero guy wasn't appealing, especially when he was still striving to establish himself in the industry under his own name, Lucas Knight. Neil sighed, understanding Lucas's hesitation. "I get it," he said, giving Lucas a moment to process. "Plus, this big project isn't kicking off anytime soon. It might be several months, even a year, before production actually starts." Lucas gave a smile, seeing Neil's understanding. "I'm all for being part of a major, big-budget film, just not superhero flicks yet. It feels premature. I aim to be like Peter Parker, but I don't want to box myself in," he said with a light chuckle. "And if I ever do join one, I'd want a say in the creative direction. I'm not keen on just following along, especially if I feel the project isn't heading in a direction that I or the audience will appreciate." Neil laughed at that. "Haha, I doubt they'd let you wield that kind of creative control." Lucas smiled, nodding. "Exactly. They won't just hand over significant creative influence to someone relatively new to Hollywood. That's why I think it's too early for me." Neil gave a slight shake of his head, a touch of pity in his voice as he moved past the topic of Spider-Man. "Look, besides Spider-Man," he started, his tone softening, "there are a couple of commercial projects on the table for you. I've pulled some strings, talked about what you could bring to the table, and got 2 big offers." Neil had half expected Lucas to pass on Spider-Man, so he came prepared, securing opportunities from his industry contacts. "Really? I'm all ears," Lucas responded with an intrigued smile. Neil reached into his bag, pulling out 2 scripts. "Here we go, one's a role in Fast and Furious 5 from Universal Studios, and the other is for The Hunger Games by Lionsgate Entertainment," he explained, spreading the script sheets on the table for Lucas to see. Lucas was genuinely taken aback, his astonishment evident as he closely examined the scripts Neil had laid before him. The realization of Neil's significant industry connections, capable of securing such prominent projects, left him in awe. Neil, understanding the gravity of each project, shared his insights. "The Fast and Furious series has a huge following, making it a solid choice for building your career, especially after Inception. It's well established and action-packed." He paused, weighing his words. "On the other hand, The Hunger Games is an upcoming adaptation. Such projects are risky, they can either soar or flop, regardless of the source material's success. Personally, I lean towards Fast and Furious 5 for you, Lucas." Neil observed Lucas, who was deeply considering his options, holding the scripts. "But it's your decision," he said, giving Lucas space to think. "I'm just sharing my perspective." Despite his words, Neil was leaning towards Fast and Furious 5. He felt The Hunger Games carried risks, particularly the pitfalls of adapting a novel, which might not translate well to film and could impact Lucas negatively. Hearing Neil's concerns, Lucas understood where he was coming from. But Lucas had the advantage of knowing future outcomes from his previous life, making his decision clearer. He was leaning towards The Hunger Games. He knew this wouldn't just be another failed adaptation. Plus, Lucas anticipated reconnecting with an old acquaintance there, Jennifer Lawrence, who, from his previous life, played a pivotal role in the series. Lucas, reflecting on the offer for the role of Peeta Mellark in The Hunger Games, felt a mismatch. Despite having the blonde hair and blue eyes matching the character, Lucas's taller stature made him feel more aligned with the character of Gale. "They're considering me for Peeta even though I don't fit the exact physical traits from the book? I think the Gale character suits me more," he mused, contemplating the script in his hands. Neil responded pragmatically, "In big productions like this, minor differences in appearance aren't a deal-breaker. Plus, they believe your look could actually enhance the romantic aspect of the movie. And as we both know, romance sells well at the box office." Lucas couldn't help but chuckle. He knew that to be true. And even though The Hunger Games wasn't primarily a romance, the element was there, woven subtly into its narrative. Neil looked directly at Lucas, curiosity evident in his gaze. "So, what's your decision?" he inquired. Lucas, with a sense of determination, replied, "I'm going for The Hunger Games." Neil, taken aback by the unexpected choice, couldn't hide his surprise. "Really? It's quite a risk," he said, outlining the risks involved with such a project. Lucas nodded firmly, "I've made up my mind. I want to be part of it." Seeing Lucas's conviction, Neil couldn't help but smile. "All right then," he said warmly. "The auditions start in November. We'll prepare you for it." Neil was hesitant about Lucas joining the Hunger Games because it was an adaptation of a popular novel. He worried that if the film didn't meet fans' expectations or diverged significantly from the book, it could negatively impact Lucas's career. Neil preferred a more established and less risky project like Fast and Furious for Lucas, considering it a safer choice for his career trajectory at this stage. Chapter 168, Lucas's final project of 2010. It was early October, and Lucas still had some time before his audition for The Hunger Games with Lionsgate, scheduled for November. After the hectic schedule of Inception promotions, due to his contract obligations, Lucas missed out on joining the indie film drive, which went to Ryan Gosling instead. Meanwhile, the indie film drive had gone with Ryan Gosling, but there was still a chance for 50/50ths if he moved quickly. Lucas had been in touch with Will Reiser and Seth Rogen. Now, he was on his way from Los Angeles to Vancouver, Canada, where production for the new project awaited. In Vancouver, at the location provided by Summit Entertainment for 50/50, Will Reiser and Seth Rogen were discussing the film's casting. Originally, production was scheduled to start earlier, considering James McAvoy and other actors like Lucas Knight for a key role. However, due to scheduling conflicts, many potential candidates were unavailable. McAvoy, who had impressed both Will and Seth with his audition, stood out particularly as other auditions didn't measure up. This left them leaning towards McAvoy for the part. Just as Summit Entertainment, along with Will and Seth, thought 50/50ths was set to proceed smoothly, James McAvoy unexpectedly left the project due to the joyous occasion of his child's birth. This sudden departure threw the casting for the role of Adam into disarray. With Joseph Gordon-Levitt unavailable due to a busy schedule, the production team turned to Lucas Knight, who was free at the time. Without other options, they decided to forego further auditions and offered the role directly to Lucas. Although Lucas Knight's standout performance was mainly from his debut in 127 Hours, this was enough to catch the production team's attention. They couldn't be sure if Lucas was a consistent actor or if his intense performance in 127 Hours was just a one-off success. However, his compelling performance in that film was the initial reason they considered him for 50/50ths in the first place. "I really hope Lucas can nail this role. Given our tight schedule, we've had to fast-track him to the lead," Will sighed. "I'm confident he'll deliver. Did you see his work in 127 Hours? He was phenomenal, and frankly, that role was tougher than Adam's," Seth replied, full of optimism. "Let's hope so." Will nodded. While Lucas's performance as Aaron Ralston in 127 Hours showcased his ability to handle physically and emotionally taxing roles, the character of Adam, grappling with a sudden cancer diagnosis, requires a different approach. Lucas's acting needs to adapt to the subtleties and nuances of Adam's journey. If he were to approach Adam with the same intensity as Aaron, it might not translate well and could come off as excessive or misplaced. "I know you're concerned about how the film, which is based on your life, will turn out," Seth reassured his friend. "If Lucas isn't the right fit, we could consider waiting for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to free up or revisit James McAvoy once he's ready after his family commitments. I don't think the producers and Summit Entertainment will be willing to wait that long. It's already been delayed enough," Will said with a chuckle. "Then let's just pray everything will go well with Lucas," Seth replied, his tone laced with seriousness as he patted Will on the back. Will just laughed, knowing well that Seth wasn't one for religious sentiments, and recognized his words were said in jest. Will appreciated Seth's effort to lighten the mood with humor. Reflecting on the situation, Will realized that maintaining an optimistic outlook wasn't unfounded. Lucas Knight had demonstrated considerable talent, especially with his notable performance in Inception, which had significantly raised his profile in the industry. It made sense to hold on to hope for Lucas's contribution to their project. Moreover, despite the serious tone that 50/50ths might convey at first glance, Will and Seth had already laid out plans to infuse the film with comedy elements. Upon reviewing Lucas's resume, which boasted his comedic prowess, particularly showcased through his portrayal of Dylan in Modern Family, Will couldn't help but feel a glimmer of optimism that Lucas might be just right for the role. As the plane landed at the airport at Vancouver, Lucas wasted no time. He quickly hailed a taxi to get to the 50/50ths production set. Along the way, he reached out to Seth over the phone to let him know he was on his way. Upon arriving at the set, Lucas was warmly welcomed by Seth and Will. Seth reached out for a handshake, his smile genuine. "Pleasure to meet you, Lucas Knight. We're thrilled to have you here." Lucas returned the smile, feeling the warmth of the greeting. "Likewise, Mr. Rogan." Seth chuckled lightly. "Just Seth, please." Then it was Will's turn to introduce himself. "Hey there, I'm Will Reiser. Feel free to just call me Will." Lucas shook hands with Will, saying as he walked inside the house alongside Seth and Will, "It's great to see you, Will." He paused before inquiring, "If I'm not mistaken, you're the writer of the project 50/50. Although Lucas already knew Will was the writer and that the project was based on his life, he still asked to familiarize himself with Seth and Will. "You are correct. In fact, this project's story is based on his life. He originally named this project I'm with Cancer before the executives at Summit Entertainment were turned off and demanded a change. Consequently, it was renamed 50/50, Seth explained, albeit in a light and humorous tone. Lucas chuckled softly at Seth's explanation, finding the situation amusing. Will joined in, raising an eyebrow at Seth's shrug. "What do you mean, turned off?" he retorted before turning to Lucas with a nod. "Yeah, that's right. The story behind this project is based on my life. Admittedly, my life might not seem all that exciting for the screen, but Seth and my friends convinced me that it could inspire others." Lucas nodded in agreement, genuinely touched by the potential impact. "I agree with them. Your journey as a cancer survivor, portrayed in the script, could definitely be a source of inspiration for others going through similar situations." As they conversed, Lucas felt himself becoming more at ease with the two industry veterans, discussing the ins and outs of the 50/50th film project and gradually breaking down any remaining barriers of unfamiliarity between them. Chapter 169, Complexities. On the set of 50/50, the cast was already deep into rehearsals when Lucas Knight arrived. As the young actor, who had been gaining attention recently for his role in Nolan's blockbuster Inception, stepped onto the set, his presence didn't go unnoticed. The cast, including seasoned actors like Angelica Houston and Serge Howd, who would be portraying Adam's parents, as well as Bryce, who would play Rachel, Adam's girlfriend, scrutinized Lucas with interest. Upon seeing Lucas, a warm smile spread across his face as he greeted everyone, eager to make introductions. "Hey there, Lucas. I'm Bryce Dallas. Pleasure to meet you," Bryce said with a formal tone, though her keen gaze betrayed her curiosity. Despite Lucas's youth, Bryce couldn't help but notice his rapid ascent in the industry. As someone entrenched in the industry and even with her parents' network of connections, Bryce understood firsthand the challenges of making it big in Hollywood. Lucas couldn't help but notice Bryce's omission of her well-known surname, but he chose not to dwell on it, opting instead for a formal greeting before taking his seat. As he settled in and glanced over the scripts spread out on the table, he couldn't resist a chuckle. "I hope I'm not too late to the rehearsals," he quipped. "You're not too late at all. Besides, the production has been on hold for a while, especially since James McAvoy left the role for you," Serge chimed in with a playful jab. "Seth and Will filled me in on that," Lucas replied with a good-natured nod, unfazed by Serge's teasing. After some light conversation, they began rehearsing. Bryce, who was paired with Lucas for rehearsals, occasionally observed his performance. However, she couldn't help but notice that Lucas didn't seem to be putting in much effort. This caused her opinion of the young actor to slightly decrease. Meanwhile, Lucas was oblivious to Bryce's observations as he went through the motions of rehearsal without much enthusiasm. Unbeknownst to Bryce, he had already exerted a significant amount of effort in preparing for the role during the mind workshop. One thing Lucas quickly realized was that portraying Adam, though it may appear straightforward, was actually more complex than any other roles he had tackled before. Lucas also had a conversation with Will about his own experience upon learning of his cancer diagnosis. Despite sensing that Will didn't want to revisit such painful memories, he still shared his story to help Lucas better understand his role. Thanks to Will's insights, Lucas found himself grappling with the challenge of truly immersing himself in the role. While the mind workshop provided realistic simulations of scenes and even allowed him to physically experience Adam's back pain, the concept of having cancer itself proved to be a barrier to his immersion. Despite the advantages offered by the workshop, Lucas realized that he still needed to conduct further research, including interacting with real cancer patients. Lucas had previously interacted with cancer patients through his friend Liza, but he felt the need to fully immerse himself in their experiences. While he was fortunate enough not to have to undergo chemotherapy in real life, he understood the importance of fully committing to the role. In the mind workshop, Lucas would undergo chemotherapy as Adam, ensuring that he portrayed the character's journey with authenticity and empathy. After extensive rehearsals with the rest of the cast, including Bryce and Seth, Lucas found himself gearing up for the first day of filming as the early morning light filtered onto the set. As the crew diligently prepared for the upcoming scene, Lucas slipped into his costume, donning jogging pants, with his hair now dyed black to match his character's appearance. Seth offered a reassuring pat on Lucas's back, his voice filled with encouragement. The production is finally about to kick off. Let's give it our all. Lucas turned to Seth, his determination evident in his nod. Yet. Meanwhile, the young director, Jonathan Levine, was busy orchestrating the final preparations with the crew. With animated gestures and precise instructions, he ensured that every detail was in place before officially commencing the shoot. From adjusting camera angles to discussing blocking with the actors. In the first scene, Lucas fully immersed himself in the character of Adam as he jogged alone through the quiet streets. With the camera capturing his every movement, he jogged along to the rhythm of the music playing in his earbuds, the world around him fading into the background. Passing by the bustling fish market, Lucas maintained Adam's steady pace, his focus unwavering. As he reached a street corner, he paused for a moment, taking in his surroundings with a sense of contemplation. Off-camera, the rest of the cast observed the scene unfolding, their attention drawn to Lucas's solitary performance. As Adam's eyes caught the "Don't Walk" sign, he hesitated for a moment before ultimately deciding to abide by the rules and remain stationary. However, his restlessness was evident as he shifted from foot to foot, his gaze darting from side to side. Despite the temptation to defy the signal and continue jogging, Adam remained rooted to the spot, his internal conflict palpable. Meanwhile, director Jonathan's subtle gestures signaled the entrance of an extra, another jogger who blatantly ignored the crosswalk signal and darted past Adam, illustrating a stark contrast in their approaches to the situation. While the other jogger raced ahead without hesitation, Adam's adherence to the rules revealed a sense of cautiousness and perhaps even a tendency towards conformity. In this early sequence of the film, the scene subtly begins to unravel Adam's character. His obedience to the crosswalk signal hints at a cautious and rule-abiding nature, while his willingness to wait patiently for the light to change suggests a sense of responsibility and respect for authority. This initial glimpse into Adam's personality lays the foundation for the complexities and nuances that will unfold throughout the story. It's subtle, but it's a fantastic way to hint at Adam's personality, especially with Lucas's improvisational acting in the scene. Chapter 170, Ad-libbing off-script. The production continued with Lucas and Bryce filming scenes together in the bedroom. In character as Adam, Lucas stood before the mirror, meticulously grooming himself with a lint brush, his attention focused on every detail of his appearance. As Bryce, portraying Rachel, entered the scene while brushing her teeth, Adam turned to her with a question. "Are you staying over tonight?" Rachel, still brushing, replied casually, not sure. There are a couple of gallery openings I want to check out." She then wandered over to Adam's drawers, her voice muffled by the toothbrush. "I'm so nervous about my show. I still have so much work to do." Adam watched as Rachel searched through his belongings and offered a helpful suggestion. "It's in your drawer." Surprised, Rachel looked up. "I have a drawer." Her voice filled with astonishment. Adam nodded sheepishly and admitted, "Yeah, I just thought I'd make some space for your things. There wasn't much in the drawer to begin with." "Well, a few things, but I moved them to a different one because it just made more sense that way." "Ah, honey. We're getting so domestic," Rachel remarked, her tone filled with warmth and affection. The sound of a car horn interrupted their moment, prompting Adam to say, "Good luck with the paintings," to Rachel as she continued to brush. Despite her mouth being full of toothpaste, Rachel noticed Adam leaning in for a kiss and chuckled, "Oops, I've got toothpaste in my mouth." She quickly wiped her mouth and returned Adam's affection with a small kiss. After their brief exchange, Adam bid Rachel a fond farewell and made his way out of the room. As the director called cut, signaling the end of the scene, the crew hurried to prepare for the next shot. Meanwhile, Bryce glanced at Lucas. Having just acted alongside him, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was nothing particularly remarkable about him. While she had seen snippets of Lucas's work, such as his viral clip as Dylan singing Perfect on YouTube, she hadn't watched his films like 127 Hours or Inception. It puzzled her how a young actor like Lucas, who seemingly hadn't attended acting school, could rise to fame in Hollywood so quickly. The next shot featured Lucas alongside Seth Rogen, with Seth in character as Kyle and the camera poised to roll. As Adam entered the car, Kyle greeted him with a casual "Yo. Well, as you can see, I'm late, Adam quipped as he settled into his seat. Seth couldn't help but be a bit surprised by Lucas's improvisation. The line Lucas delivered wasn't part of the script. Adam was supposed to apologize for being late. However, Lucas's ad-lib hinted at a closer relationship between Adam and Seth's character than initially scripted. Observing that the director didn't intervene, Seth realized that the improvisation was allowed. He seamlessly continued with his role as Kyle, sniffing in Adam's direction and teasing, "What's that smell?" Pausing for effect, he continued, "Did you sit in jam or something?" Adam, feeling slightly uncomfortable with the close inspection, distanced himself from Kyle, retorting, "Don't sniff too much. If you think I'm into guys, you're wrong, Kyle." Again, not in the script. Didn't think this young actor would make it tough for me, Seth thought to himself, slightly caught off guard by Lucas's improvisation. Nevertheless, he decided to play along, knowing that as long as the director didn't intervene, they could keep rolling. "You're hurting your friend's feelings, Adam. I just think you smell too fruity," Seth quipped, staying in character as Kyle. Adam adjusted his attire with a deadpan expression. "I ran out of shampoo. With no choice left, I used Rachel's shampoo," he explained matter-of-factly. Trying to get closer, Kyle sniffed and remarked, "No wonder, you smell like you fucked with the cast of The View." Adam didn't miss a beat, firing back with a slight grin. "Well, if I smell like that, you smell like you went for a swim in a pool of your grandma's perfume." The crew and cast watching the scene on the monitor chuckled and exchanged amused glances at Lucas's quick wit. Even director Jonathan seemed pleased with the spontaneity of the scene. However, Seth, feeling challenged by Lucas's playful banter, continued to tease him in character as Kyle. "No joke, you smell like you used my grandma's feminine wash," he quipped, playfully clinging to Adam in mock indignation. Seth's comeback joke also prompted soft laughs from the crew and cast who were watching. They continued to watch as the scene unfolded. Adam distanced himself and gently pushed Kyle away. "You think I smell like that, but you keep clinging to me? Stop being so clingy, Kyle. I've only used a woman's shampoo, I didn't turn into a woman." "Well, I kind of wish you were," Kyle retorted, causing the scene to fall into an awkward silence. Adam stared back at Kyle, their eyes locked in a tense moment. Sensing the discomfort, Seth, in character as Kyle, interjected to break the silence with the line intended for Adam. "We're kind of late," he said, attempting to steer the scene back on track. "You're the one driving, so you better start driving," Adam replied calmly. Seth, momentarily forgetting his role, chuckled at his mistake. "Oh, right. Silly me. Let's go," he said, before starting to drive the car as directed by Jonathan. With that, the scene came to an end. As the scene wrapped up, Lucas and Seth exited the car and made their way over to where the crew and cast were gathered, watching the replay on the monitor. Seth glanced at Lucas, a hint of disbelief in his voice as he spoke. "I don't know if I can work with you, man. You're throwing in improvised lines left and right. I don't know if I can keep up." Lucas grinned in response. "Definitely not what you were expecting, hey?" Seth chuckled, shaking his head. "Honestly, no. I didn't expect that from you." As they walked over to watch the replay and conversed with the director and crew, Lucas couldn't help but reflect on his preparation for the role. He had dedicated countless hours to practicing in the mind workshop, immersing himself in Adam's character. The original lines for Adam's conversations with Kyle felt distant and unfamiliar to him. Adam and Kyle were supposed to be close friends, and Lucas believed that Adam should be able to handle his friend's silly and quirky personality quite well. As Lucas showcased his improvisational skills and delivered Adam's lines with flair, the initial doubts from the other cast members began to dissipate. They were impressed by Lucas's performance, especially during the scene with Seth that had everyone on set laughing. Bryce, who observed the exchange, couldn't help but feel a twinge of reluctance. Meanwhile, Will, who also watched the replay, nodded approvingly. He saw nothing wrong with Lucas's interpretation. In fact, he believed it perfectly complemented his vision for the film. Despite its serious subject matter, Will envisioned the movie incorporating comedic elements, and Lucas's improvisation only served to enhance that vision. Chapter 171, one of the difficult scene in the film. The filming of 50/50ths continued at the coffee shop, where Kyle initiated a conversation about sex, probing Adam about his intimate life with Rachel. "You haven't had sex in 3 weeks?" Kyle exclaimed, his eyebrows shooting up in surprise as he looked at Adam. "Why do you make it sound like such a big deal?" Adam responded, his eyebrows furrowing in confusion. "I'm just worried about you as a friend, okay?" Kyle replied, attempting to justify his curiosity. "But seriously, 3 weeks? How do you survive without sex?" "Well, she had a yeast infection, and besides, I can manage," Adam deadpanned, maintaining his serious expression. Seth, portraying Kyle, was momentarily taken aback by Lucas's delivery of Adam's lines. "I can manage," Adam deadpanned. Seth found it unexpectedly amusing, momentarily forgetting his own lines. "Cut!" Jonathan exclaimed, casting a concerned glance at Seth. "Seth, everything all right?" Seth gave a reassuring nod to the director, then turned his attention to Lucas. "No worries, just thrown off by this guy's lines here," he explained, gesturing towards Lucas. "Didn't think my ad-lib could throw you off your script," Lucas quipped, shooting Seth a playful grin as he readied himself for the scene to restart. "This guy can throw out lines without breaking a sweat. Really tough," Seth thought to himself as he observed Lucas. With a deep breath, he too prepared to jump back into the scene. Before they resumed, Jonathan addressed Lucas with the mic. "Lucas, your ad-lib with Seth was fantastic. Let's keep it as it is. And Seth, I'm confident you can roll with Lucas's ad-lib." Lucas and Seth exchanged nods of understanding as they geared up to continue the scene. With added comedic elements, Adam and Kyle delved into a discussion about their sex lives, adding a light-hearted touch to the conversation. Their banter carried on as Adam and Kyle headed off to work, the scene flowing seamlessly with the added improvisation. As the shooting approached the pivotal moment of the scene where Adam discovers he has cancer, they gathered in the doctor's office. Before filming commenced, Lucas found himself in conversation with Will and Seth. "I understand this is a comedy drama, but I feel like in this scene, where Adam learns he has cancer, it should be pretty dramatic, right?" Seth mused to Lucas. "I've never been in that situation, but Will would probably have a better insight than me." Will chimed in, sharing his own experience. "Honestly, when I first found out, it was like a punch to the gut," he began, recounting his own emotions. "But regardless, Lucas, you don't have to feel too pressured. While this is a comedy drama, the scene can definitely lean towards the dramatic. You just need to find the right balance." The cast and crew gave Lucas some space, understanding the weight of the upcoming scene. They knew it was one of the most complex and challenging moments in the film. Lucas remained silent for a moment, taking in their words. Despite the support and guidance, he couldn't shake off the weight of the scene. Even with the assistance of the Mind Workshop, he knew that ultimately, it was up to him to deliver the performance. "So far, I've really been digging your take on the character," Will remarked, giving Lucas a pat on the shoulder. "You're adding some intriguing depth to Adam, especially in those scenes where he's with his buddy Kyle." Leaning in, Will shared a bit of insight into his own personality. "I'll be honest with you, even though I based the character on myself kind of introverted, always having a million thoughts running through my head, I'm actually pretty loud and outgoing with my close friends." Lucas grinned at the feedback, appreciating the validation. "Thanks, Will. I'm glad you're liking it." "And Lucas, you really nailed those moments where Adam and Kyle banter," Seth chimed in, offering his own perspective. "You might not realize it, but Will's got a knack for throwing in these awkward and unfunny jokes sometimes, just like your take with Adam does." Lucas chuckled in response, appreciating Seth's attempt to lighten the mood, as he knew Seth was subtly poking fun at his own ad-libbed lines. After a brief pause, the scene was about to commence with Andrew Early, the actor portraying the Doctor, Jonathan's reminder echoing in the air. "All right, stand by. Scene 52 is about to roll, shot 3. At the director's cue, the set fell into a hushed anticipation, everyone poised and ready. Then, without further ado, filming began as Lucas, portraying Adam, entered Dr. Ross's office. Dr. Ross greeted Adam with a terse hi as Adam settled into his seat. Then, Dr. Ross studied Adam's charts intently, pulling out a dictaphone to record his findings. "Patient has been complaining of back pain and night sweats. Blood tests and urine analysis are normal. MRI suggests a massive intradural malignant schwannoma neurofibrosarcoma extending into psoas muscle with nerve root compression syndrome and bone erosion." As Adam continued to listen, his confusion became increasingly evident in his eyes. He rubbed them in an attempt to clear his vision, then waved his hand towards Dr. Ross, who was engrossed in reading Adam's charts and speaking into the dictaphone. Growth extends from the L2 to L5. We'll send patient for biopsy to confirm, Dr. Ross continued, oblivious to Adam's growing unease. Unable to contain his worry and nervousness any longer, Adam interrupted with a voice tinged with anxiety. Wait. Are you speaking the same language as me right now? Lucas's improvised line caught Andrew, portraying Dr. Ross, off guard, and the cast and crew watching the scene unfold on the monitor couldn't help but let out a soft laughter at the unexpected moment. The cast and crew found Lucas's improvised lines humorous, especially considering the complexity of the doctor's previous dialogue that left everyone scratching their heads. What? Andrew, portraying Dr. Ross, responded with a bewildered expression, clearly taken aback by Lucas's unexpected remark. I mean, were you speaking English just now? Adam inquired, his body language betraying his nervousness about the doctor's report on his health. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Adam attempted to inject a bit of humor to ease the tension and express his genuine confusion. Andrew, struggling to keep up with Lucas's ad-lib and improvisation, faltered in his response. Recognizing the disconnect, Jonathan, the director, decided to cut the scene and reshoot it to ensure a smoother flow. Chapter 172, Natural. Andrew realized he had disrupted the scene and promptly apologized to Lucas. I'm sorry, Lucas. I didn't quite grasp your improvisation and messed up. Lucas simply nodded, replying, it's quite all right. However, as Lucas responded, Andrew could see that Lucas was still immersed in his role as Adam, his eyes betraying a clear sense of anxiety and concern. Andrew was left in awe of the young actor's unwavering commitment. Take 2, Scene 52, Shot 3. Director Jonathan briefly paused before exclaiming, Action! The scene restarted with Adam entering Dr. Ross's office and sitting in the chair opposite Dr. Ross, who greeted Adam with a brief, Hi. Then the scene unfolded as follows, Wait. Are we even speaking the same language right now? Adam's words caught Dr. Ross's attention, prompting a confused, What? Adam pressed on, I mean, were you speaking English just now? Of course, I am. I'm speaking English, Dr. Ross said awkwardly, then pointed at the MRI display, adding, to help you understand better, if you look here at your MRI, do you see this object resembling a cephalopod spreading down along your spinal column? Adam's eyes narrowed, his confusion evident. Yet, beneath his bewildered look, there was an unmistakable nervousness and apprehension about what the doctor might be implying. His nervousness manifested in his body language. He tapped constantly on the table and then stood up to face Dr. Ross, asking, What are you trying to say, Doc? Dr. Ross seemed taken aback by Adam's abrupt reaction and softly stated, It's a malignant tumor. Malignant tumor. Adam's voice faltered as he echoed the words. Yes, Dr. Ross confirmed, nodding solemnly. Adam pointed at himself, his face a picture of disbelief, as if to say, Me? Are you serious? Dr. Ross simply nodded in response. That doesn't make sense. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I recycle. Adam's voice trembled with anxiety. I'm practically a vegan. I've never even worn a leather jacket, and you're saying that I have. His voice trailed off as he made a series of animated gestures, then suddenly, he slumped back into the seat, cradling his forehead, his heartbeat pounding with anxiousness. Meanwhile, the cast and crew, who were watching through the monitor, found Lucas's improvised lines about not wearing a leather jacket amusing. However, they were also deeply moved by Lucas's nuanced portrayal of Adam, who was visibly overwhelmed by nervousness, anxiety, and a flood of negative emotions, capturing their empathy and leaving them choked up. Witnessing Lucas's incredible performance, Andrew, in the role of Dr. Ross, could almost physically feel Adam's anxiety. The lines he was supposed to deliver got stuck in his throat as he watched Adam slump into the seat. Despite this, Andrew knew he had to continue with his lines, albeit hesitantly. Well, your case, it's actually quite fascinating. Your cancer is the result of an incredibly rare gene mutation on chromosome 17p in the p53 gene, which causes the growth of malignant cells in tissue around the nerves. In your case, it's grown along the nerves in your lower spine. His delivery was marred by stumbles and stutters, as he noted Adam's anxiety skyrocketing. Adam biting his nails nervously, his eyes darting around impatiently as he listened. Andrew found himself swallowing his next words, overwhelmed by Lucas's convincing portrayal of Adam. It was so effective that Andrew struggled to deliver his lines. If he didn't know any better, he would have felt compelled to say, "I'm sorry," to Lucas for having to endure such a terrible illness as cancer. Andrew wasn't the only one moved. The crew, especially Will, watched Lucas's portrayal of Adam with eyes that began to moisten. Will felt a personal connection to the performance, as he had experienced similar emotions when he first learned of his own diagnosis. Like Lucas's portrayal of Adam, Will initially found the diagnosis unbelievable and wholly unacceptable, a cruel and harsh reality to come to terms with. Yet, in his performance, Lucas, as Adam, attempted to deflect and deny the gravity of his condition, using a selection of words that inadvertently led to humor. Even though it was clear that Lucas, embodying Adam, didn't intend to be humorous, his genuine confusion, denial, and the unwittingly funny remarks amidst such a serious situation struck a chord. Cut. The director called an end to the scene. However, upon replaying the footage, it was apparent that Andrew disrupted the flow once again, breaking character the moment Lucas launched into his remarkable improvisation. Jonathan, the director, was completely taken by Lucas's performance. He was so engrossed that he felt as if he were experiencing Adam's emotions firsthand, which is why he continued to observe Lucas's portrayal until the end of the scene. It was only then that he realized Andrew was not keeping up with Lucas's tempo and intensity. Jonathan took Andrew aside for a talk, providing him with some guidance and feedback, while Lucas, still engulfed in the character of Adam, wiped away the slight tears from his eyes, exhaling a deep sigh that mirrored a sense of despair. Lucas was deeply immersed in the conflicting emotions of remorse, denial, and the overwhelming negativity associated with the revelation of having cancer, feeling as though the world had suddenly turned grey. On the set, Will and Seth noticed Lucas's behavior and exchanged concerned looks. They approached him, inquiring if he was all right. Lucas merely nodded, his demeanor betraying his true feelings. Breaking a moment of silence, he said, "I'll watch the replay and see if I did well." "You don't need to worry about that, you nailed the scene," Seth reassured him with a smile as they walked over to the monitor. Joined by Will, Lucas watched the replay, scrutinizing his performance. Watching himself on the screen, Lucas felt perhaps he had overdone it slightly. He contemplated how he might convey the same depth of emotion more subtly, yet retain the effectiveness of his portrayal. Additionally, he noted his natural dialogues, which were intended to express denial, had come off as unexpectedly humorous, fitting seamlessly into the comedy-drama genre of the film 50/50. This realization sparked a thought in Lucas: perhaps he could lean into this natural flow a bit more, enhancing the film's blend of humor and serious themes. The scene would need to be reshot, as Andrew was burdened with guilt for messing up, especially since he recognized Lucas's performance in the scene as outstanding. He was concerned that Lucas might not be able to replicate such a powerful performance again. At the same time, Andrew couldn't help but admire Lucas's natural talent as an actor, thinking that the young performer had the potential to become the next Daniel Day-Lewis. Chapter 173, Can I Still Get It Up? On the set of 50/50, there was a reshoot for the pivotal scene where Adam learns about his cancer diagnosis. Lucas's improvisation was so on point that it was kept in the final cut, although he tweaked his performance to avoid it coming across as too over the top. Andrew, portraying Dr. Ross, delivers a line that's meant to be a bombshell, detailing Adam's condition with clinical fascination. "Well, your case, it's actually quite fascinating. Your cancer is the result of an incredibly rare gene mutation in chromosome 17p in the p53 gene that causes the growth of malignant cells in tissue around the nerves. In your case, it's grown along the nerves in your lower spine." Adam listens to the doctor's report with a blend of confusion and curiosity at first. His reaction mixing bewilderment with humor strikes a chord before shifting to anxiety and fear as the gravity of his situation sinks in. You can see it all in Adam's face, the slight changes in his expressions and the way his eyes move, revealing the storm of emotions brewing inside him as he digests the news about his health. Eventually, Adam stands up and slowly walks to the window. His approach, the longing look he gives the world outside, and his entire body language speak volumes. It's as though he's trying to find an escape from the harsh reality he's just been confronted with, all while lost in the view beyond the glass. In the scene, Lucas, embodying Adam, feels as though the world has dulled to shades of grey. He gazes out the window, yearning for an escape, his body feeling inexplicably light while his heart is weighed down by dread. The emotional depth of Adam's moment of vulnerability is palpable to the cast and crew watching. Will, observing Lucas's compelling performance, finds himself deeply moved, reminded of his own confrontation with the news of cancer. Amidst this heavy atmosphere, Dr. Ross presses on with the sobering details: people can go years without knowing they're sick. We're lucky we caught it before it metastasizes. Given the placement and size of your particular tumor, the wisest course of action is to see if we can possibly reduce this thing down to a more manageable size. His eyes meet Adam's distant gaze at the window, adding, I'm going to put you on a 4-month regimen of chemotherapy. He continues, now chemotherapy can result in fertility issues. But before he can finish, Adam, cutting through the tension with a mix of genuine concern and an attempt to lighten the mood, blurts out, so, can I still get it up and have sex? This unexpected interjection breaks the somber rhythm of the conversation, introducing a moment of levity and human vulnerability amidst the overwhelming reality of his diagnosis. Andrew, in the role of Dr. Ross, was caught off guard by Lucas's unexpected line. He tried to suppress a laugh but ended up coughing and chuckling instead. The cast and crew, who had been absorbed in the scene's heavy drama thanks to Lucas's poignant portrayal, found themselves erupting in laughter at the sudden shift. What is wrong with you? Jesus, director Jonathan exclaimed, unable to contain his amusement as he called cut on the scene. Seth, trying to lighten the moment further, chuckled and nudged Lucas, I was about to cry, bro. Will also couldn't help but shake his head in disbelief at Lucas, but then he noticed something different. Lucas was silent, tears in his eyes. Concerned, Will asked, are you all right? Lucas wiped away his tears and managed a nod. What the others hadn't realized was that Lucas's humorous line wasn't just for the sake of humor. It was his way of portraying Adam's coping mechanism using humor to deal with the crushing weight of his diagnosis. For Adam, and by extension Lucas, the joke wasn't really funny given the gravity of his situation. Meanwhile, the crew and director gathered around to discuss Lucas's impromptu line while watching the scene replay on the monitor. As the scene replayed and Lucas's line, so, can I still get it up and have sex? Filled the room, laughter broke out. I actually think that line works for the scene, Will said to Jonathan, who was nodding in agreement. Our film is a comedy drama, after all. Lucas's improvisation adds a layer of humor without making the audience feel too overwhelmed by drama. All right, let's shoot it again, Jonathan decided. They had already done several takes of this single scene, which was starting to wear on everyone's patience. The repeated takes were due to Andrew's slip ups or Lucas's desire to refine his performance. While the crew was largely understanding, recognizing that good results often require persistence, not everyone was as patient. Bryce, in particular, felt a twinge of envy seeing Lucas receive so much praise from Jonathan, Will, and other key team members. Despite her own significant connections in the industry, she had never been the focus of such attention. Nevertheless, she couldn't deny being impressed by Lucas's acting prowess. After Jonathan had a chat with Lucas and Andrew, he aimed to align their performances for the scene. He facilitated a brief discussion between the two actors to smooth out their on-screen chemistry before deciding it was time to roll the cameras. All right, take 8, scene 52, shot 3, action. Jonathan's voice rang out, signaling the start of yet another take. As the scene played out, Lucas wove in his improvised lines, with Andrew adroitly adjusting to keep the scene flowing. Observers could see Lucas enhancing his performance with each retake, a testament to his growing prowess as an actor. Bryce, among other cast members, watched the scene evolve. She found herself increasingly impressed by Lucas's talent. His performance was not just technically adept but emotionally resonant, touching everyone who watched. Laughter mingled with tears among the cast as they listened to Adam's humorously incongruous lines amidst the gravity of the narrative. Despite her initial skepticism and envy towards Lucas, Bryce had to admit his gift for acting was undeniable. The ad-libs, humorous as they were, seamlessly blended into the scene's fabric, portraying Adam's use of humor as a coping mechanism against his cancer diagnosis. Finally, the scene wrapped up successfully, with Andrew in step with Lucas's spontaneity and Lucas feeling content with their collective performance. Chapter 174, Chemistry in Comedy. As Lucas watched his performance replay on the monitor, he felt a wave of satisfaction wash over him. He had just stepped away to drink some cold water, temporarily leaving behind his immersion in Adam's intense character. This short break allowed him to view his performance with fresh eyes. Looks like all those hours in my mind workshop really paid off. He mused quietly to himself. To the onlookers, Lucas might seem like a natural-born acting prodigy, effortlessly improving with each take and leaving a significant impression. However, Lucas knew the truth behind his seemingly spontaneous success. He had dedicated countless hours in his mind workshop, a mental space where he deeply immersed himself in Adam's world, meticulously rehearsing and refining his portrayal. This behind-the-scenes dedication was the real secret to the magic they were all witnessing on screen. "What do you think, Lucas? Satisfied with your performance there?" Jonathan asked, his voice carrying a mix of admiration and underlying concern. He was genuinely impressed by the scene but couldn't shake off the anxiety that Lucas might want another take. This worry wasn't just his own, it echoed the sentiments of the entire crew and cast, all of whom were eager to wrap up the film project. Everyone held their breath, waiting for Lucas's response. After a brief pause, Lucas finally spoke, "I think it was already good enough. It maintained the drama while I managed to weave in the comedic aspect properly. I think it's more than good enough." His words brought a collective sigh of relief from the team, paired with a sense of accomplishment. They had struck the right balance between drama and comedy, all thanks to Lucas's nuanced performance. As filming progresses, the team sets up for the next scene, finding their rhythm, leading to a smoother production process. The scene takes place in Adam's office at dusk, focusing closely on a computer screen displaying critical information about his condition. The screen details neurofibromatosis schwannoma as a malignant tumor, with chemotherapy, radiation, and particularly surgical resection as potential treatments. However, it also lists significant risks associated with surgery, such as limb amputation, paralysis, and death. The prognosis for this rare tumor type is noted to be relatively poor, with patient responses varying based on several factors. The screen grimly notes a 5-year survival rate of 50%, which drops to 0% after metastasis. Adam finds himself alone in the office, frozen in shock as his colleagues head out and the lights dim. The harsh reality of his diagnosis hits hard as he's left staring at the grim details on the computer screen. The narrative then moves to a night bus ride, capturing Adam deep in contemplation or possibly numb from shock, while the city's fading lights streak by. In the next scene, back at his home, Adam shares an intimate moment with Bryce, who plays Rachel. Having been briefed about his health, Rachel, tears streaming down her face, promises to stand by Adam despite the grim prognosis. Their embrace is filled with a search for comfort amidst the turmoil. The following morning, the production moves outside a coffee shop. Here, Adam has apparently shared his distressing news with Kyle, who looks visibly upset, struggling with the weight of his friend's illness. As Kyle battles with nausea, a mix of nerves and shock, wanted to vomit, Adam attempts to offer comfort and keep him grounded. Concerned and bewildered, Kyle probes for more details about Adam's cancer. Adam, sticking to simple terms to spare Kyle the complexity, hints at the rare and serious nature of his condition. The scene wraps with an air of confusion and deep concern as the friends grapple with the reality of Adam's illness. Despite the somber mood set by Adam's illness, the scene lightens up due to Lucas's nuanced portrayal and his spontaneous humor as Adam, especially in his interaction with Kyle, played by Seth. In their exchange, Adam manages to weave in humorous lines, and Kyle, known for his quirky and amusing personality, engages in the comedy, particularly during their attempt to pronounce the complex name of Adam's cancer and the playful inquiry about having a photograph of the tumor. Adam's witty retorts keep the scene engaging and light-hearted despite the underlying seriousness of his condition. Kyle, though touched by the gravity of Adam's illness, finds a sliver of joy seeing his friend retain his sense of humor in the face of adversity. Seth's eyes, shimmering with emotion due to Lucas's convincing performance, reflect a complex mix of sadness and amusement as he responds to Adam's jests. This interaction emerges as a poignant element of the film. Kyle's visible sadness for his friend Adam, betrayed by his teary eyes, contrasts with the laughter they share, introducing a layer of humor that softens the intense emotional backdrop. This nuanced mix of drama and humor elicits gentle laughter from the crew, capturing the scene's emotional depth while still allowing for moments of lightheartedness. In this continued scene, Kyle inquires about Adam's parents' reaction to his diagnosis, surprised to learn Adam hasn't informed them yet. He emphasizes the importance of telling them, especially since Adam's mom might handle the news better than expected, despite the complication of his dad's Alzheimer's. Adam acknowledges Kyle's point with reluctance, admitting he knows he should tell them. Kyle's attempt to inject some humor into a grim situation leads to an unexpectedly light-hearted exchange between him and Adam. "You'll be fine. 50/50ths. If you were a casino game, you'd have the best odds," he says, trying to muster a laugh, before patting Adam on the shoulder in a gesture of comfort. Adam, playing along but with a hint of irony, chuckles, "Yeah. Thanks. I guess I should hit the casino then." This playful banter elicits a chuckle from the crew and cast, witnessing the natural rapport between the two actors. Seth, embodying Kyle, can't help but smile, shaking his head slightly at Lucas's improvisation. Sigh, acting with this kind of actor. You never know what he's going to say next. Where does he pull these ad-libs from? He thinks, amused and slightly exasperated. Seizing the moment to keep the comedic flow, Seth as Kyle responds, well, I guess it's time I showed you the ropes in gambling. I'm practically a pro. You might not know this, but I've already dropped 10 grand at a casino nearby. Their interaction showcases Lucas and Seth's chemistry, as they playfully spar with their lines, demonstrating the strength of their characters' relationship. Chapter 175, Touching Performance. The scene unfolds as Adam prepares to share his daunting cancer diagnosis with his parents, alongside Rachel. Angelica Houston, portraying Diane, steps out of her car and onto the curb, warmly greeted by her son. Hi, Mom, Adam says. Hi, honey, Diane responds, moving in for a big hug. Yet, it's evident from Adam's stiff posture and hesitant pat on his mom's back using just the tips of his fingers that he's far from comfortable. This awkward embrace, combined with Adam's forced smile and subtle eye rolls, injects a dose of humor into the tension of the moment. The crew, observing this exchange, can't help but let out a chuckle. Lucas's portrayal of Adam managing to be both humorous and painfully awkward in the presence of his doting mother captures the essence of their strained relationship, adding a layer of realism and relatability to the scene. Then, Serge Howd, taking on the role of Richard, Adam's father, appears behind Diane. At first glance, Richard seems just like any other middle-aged man. But a closer look reveals the unmistakable signs of Alzheimer's, subtly distorting his grasp on reality. He reaches out to shake Adam's hand. Just as Adam is about to warmly greet him with a "Hi, Dad," Richard introduces himself as if meeting Adam for the first time. "Hi, I'm Richard." Diane gently prods Richard, reminding him, "This is Adam, your son. Remember?" Adam, trying to navigate the awkwardness, shakes his dad's hand, managing a tender, "Nice to meet you, again, Dad," paired with a fleeting, melancholic smile. The smile quickly gives way to a sense of loss as he gives Richard's shoulder a comforting pat, weaving a thread of heartfelt sorrow into their greeting. From her vantage point on the porch, Rachel offers a cheerful, "Hi." Her greeting slices through the tense atmosphere, but Diane, ever the diplomat, nods and waves back with a politeness that masks her inner thoughts as she continues towards the house with Adam. Curiosity lacing her voice, Diane probes, "So, what's the big news?" Adam's response comes with a hint of hesitation. "It's nothing. I'll tell you inside." Casting a glance back at Rachel, still standing in the distance, Diane ventures a guess, "She's not pregnant, is she?" At this, Adam halts abruptly, the words catching him off guard. He whirls around, an exasperated mom escaping him. Diane chuckles softly, adding, I know, you use protection." Adam's face reddens, a mix of embarrassment and disbelief at the conversation's turn. He holds her gaze for a moment longer before shaking his head in disbelief and marching towards the house. Diane, trailing behind, comments on the peeling paint on Adam's porch. "You really should speak to your landlord about painting this." Adam dismissively replies, "It's fine," his patience thinning as he rolls his eyes and steps inside. Undeterred, Diane insists, "Just give me his number, and I'll handle it." Her attention then shifts to a striking abstract painting hanging above the TV. "That's new," she observes. Adam, with a flicker of pride, responds, "Rachel made it for me. It's called Oppression." Rachel, overhearing, quickly corrects him, "Liberation." Adam corrects himself with a sheepish grin, "That's right, liberation. Oppression is in the bathroom." Diane attempts to muster a smile, striving to appear impressed by the art. "Nice," she manages, while Rachel accepts the compliment with a gracious thank you. As the cameras rolled in Adam's dining room, the setting was laid back, a simple pizza dinner. Diane passed Richard a handful of pills, which he swallowed with a grateful smile. Something in the atmosphere felt off to Diane, prompting her curiosity. "What's the occasion?" she asked, piercing the quiet. Adam, weighed down by his news, hesitated. He needed her to promise to keep her cool, signaling the seriousness of what he was about to say. Diane, lightly brushing off his concern, promised to stay calm, unaware of the storm about to hit. With a burdened soul, Adam let the truth spill, "I have cancer." Diane's disbelief forced Adam to confirm the heartbreaking reality, sending her into a state of shock and denial. She couldn't fathom how or when this nightmare had entered their lives. Adam's regret for not sharing sooner only intensified Diane's worry. Her maternal instincts kicked in. She insisted on moving in to care for him, brushing aside Adam's attempts to reassure her, given her own challenges, especially with Richard's condition. Rachel offered a lifeline, volunteering to accompany Adam to his appointments. Diane, overcome by a wave of emotions, was momentarily paralyzed, her twitching finger betraying her internal turmoil. Seeking some control in the chaos, Diane retreated to the kitchen to make green tea, latching onto a snippet from the Today Show about its supposed cancer-preventing benefits. Adam followed, trying to anchor her back to reality with a gentle reminder that prevention was no longer an option for him. The scene culminates in a heartfelt embrace between Adam and Diane in the kitchen, as Diane finally allows herself to break down and weep, a poignant acknowledgement of Adam's diagnosis and the uncertain road ahead. This scene moved Will to tears, and he wasn't alone, several crew members were visibly affected as well. For Will, the impact was particularly profound, given that the movie was inspired by his own life experiences. Watching the depiction of the struggle with a devastating illness like cancer resonated deeply, reminding him of the personal challenges and emotional turmoil he had endured. The authenticity and raw emotion captured in the scene struck a chord, highlighting the universal pain and resilience found in battling such a harrowing disease. After a brief pause, the scene came to a close with Jonathan's cue, marking a moment of collective reflection among the cast and crew who had witnessed the emotional depth of the performance. The actors stepped out of their roles, but the residue of the characters' emotions lingered, blending with their own. Eyes that had remained focused and professional throughout the shoot were now glistening, some dabbing away tears discreetly, others letting them freely flow. The actors being slightly affected by the drama of their scene is nothing new, after all. Diving deep into the complexities of their characters and embodying their emotional journeys is a fundamental part of their craft. Immersion into a role often requires accessing and portraying a wide range of emotions, from joy to despair, making it a common occurrence for actors to feel the residual effects of their performances. Chapter 176, What's Next? Continuing the indie film project 50/50ths on the bustling hospital set, Adam navigated the corridors, seeking Dr. McKay. A helpful attendant directed him to the office, a small, chaotic space brimming with psychology texts and papers. Amid the disarray, Anna Kendrick, embodying Catherine, lounged on a couch engrossed in a file, indulging in a rather unruly sandwich. Her appearance, much like the room, was delightfully disheveled. As Adam peeked inside, Catherine glanced up, sandwich in mid-bite, and asked if she could assist. Adam, taken aback by her casual demeanor amidst the clutter, mentioned his appointment with Dr. McKay. "Oh, right, please, make yourself at home," Catherine said, hastily making room on the couch while juggling her sandwich. Standing to greet him, she extended a hand, introducing herself as Catherine, to Adam's hesitance. "You're Dr. McKay." Adam's voice carried a mix of surprise and confusion. "Yes, that's me. Please, have a seat," she corrected herself with a friendly tone, tidying up her lunch. Adam, amused, couldn't help but reassess the young doctor before him, his skepticism barely masked by a polite nod. Anna, embodying Catherine, couldn't help but notice Lucas's flair for improvisation as Adam. She'd seen him in action with Seth, who played Kyle, and admired Lucas's skill for adding humor and spontaneity to scenes with his ad-libs. Although Anna didn't consider herself as naturally adept at improvisation, she was determined to play along with Lucas's cues without missing a beat. "Aren't you supposed to be like 65 and wear earth-tone sweaters? You look more like you should be in a college dorm than a doctor's office," Adam remarked, his tone rich with incredulity. The surrounding cast and crew couldn't contain their amusement at Lucas's unexpected line. Catherine, missing the jest hidden in Adam's observation, responded with a hint of defensiveness, "Why? Did someone actually describe me that way?" Her reaction underscored her straightforwardness and her struggle to catch the underlying humor in remarks about her youthful appearance as a doctor. Adam, gently shaking his head, pressed on, "No, but seriously, how old are you?" 24, Catherine replied, slightly thrown off by the question. Adam, unable to resist, quipped, 24? "What are you, Doogie Howser?" Catherine's puzzled response, "Who?" only propelled the conversation into more comedic territory. "Doogie Howser, the teenage doctor," Adam tried to clarify, but Catherine's continued perplexity left him speechless. How could a doctor not catch such a humorous reference? When Catherine innocently asked, "Does he work here?" Adam's bemusement deepened. No, never mind. But really, aren't you a bit young to be a doctor? Adam concluded, his mix of admiration and disbelief encapsulating the scene's light-hearted yet revealing exchange. Catherine, in a mix of earnestness and slight embarrassment, admitted, "Oh, technically I'm not a doctor yet. I wish. I'm actually working on my doctorate." She caught Adam's skeptical look and quickly added, trying to maintain a semblance of professionalism, "This is a training hospital." Adam, intrigued, leaned in, "I see. So, have you seen many patients?" Catherine started, "Well, my patient history isn't," but was cut off by Adam's sudden realization. "I'm your first patient, aren't I?" Quickly, she rebutted, "No, not at all." Undeterred, Adam guessed again, "You're second." No answer came. "Third." He tried once more. Catherine's silence was all the confirmation he needed. His eyes widened, a mix of concern and curiosity taking over. "How are the first two doing?" he probed. Catherine hesitated, finally confessing, "Can't really talk about that." Adam, half joking, half concerned, continued, "And all this, it's part of your training." "Yes, it'll be a significant part of my dissertation. But don't worry, I won't use your real name or anything." Adam, now visibly uneasy but trying to hide it with a nod, conceded, "Okay. I guess that's fine." His attempt at reassurance was more for himself than for Catherine, as the realization settled that he was part of a learning experience quite literally. An awkward beat filled the room as Catherine pulled Adam's file closer, breaking the silence with a tone of professionalism, "So, Dr. Ross filled me in on your situation. This must be incredibly difficult." Adam, maintaining his composure, simply shrugged in response. Catherine, looking for more, asked, "How are you feeling?" "You know, honestly, I feel fine. I've actually never been more calm," Adam confessed, his tone betraying no concern. Catherine, a flicker of pride crossing her features, jumped at his admission, "That's a very common symptom found in patients like yourself. Right now your body is in survival mode. What you're actually experiencing is shock." Adam, facing Catherine's unwavering confidence with a speechless gaze, interjected, "No, I think I'm fine." Undeterred, Catherine pressed on, "That's why you feel that sense of calm. Would you describe what you're feeling as a kind of numbness?" Adam, steadfast, countered, "I would describe it as fine." Catherine, persistent, began again, "Because certain patients." Adam, raising an eyebrow in a mixture of amusement and exasperation, a look that silently screamed, "Are we really doing this?" asserted, "I feel great." Catherine, finally conceding with a reluctant smile, offered, "Wonderful, I think that's wonderful. If it's all right with you, today I'd like to start with some very simple relaxation exercises." Adam, leaning back, the epitome of tranquility, couldn't help but quip, "But I am relaxed. In fact, I'm so relaxed, you might need to wake me up to start those exercises." Lucas's spontaneous ad-lib almost coaxed a laugh from Anna, but she managed to maintain her composure, seamlessly moving on with her lines, "I know you are. But if you want to lie down, lie down." Adam's tone was laced with incredulity. Catherine simply nodded in affirmation, "Yet." Though skeptical, Adam complied, reclining as Catherine hit play on her laptop, filling the room with the soothing strains of New Age meditation music. "And close your eyes," she instructed further. "Really?" The disbelief was palpable in Adam's voice. Yet, upon seeing Catherine's earnest nod, he obliged, closing his eyes. His body tensed awkwardly, his expression was a mix of amusement and incredulity, eyebrows raised, lips pressed in a tight line, almost as if he was resisting the urge to burst into laughter at the absurdity of listening to generic calm music, likely sourced from YouTube, as a form of therapy. "Next, are we going to start chanting?" Adam quipped, his tone light yet dripping with sarcasm, prompting a wave of laughter from the crew. Anna stifled her chuckles, her mind racing. "If Lucas keeps this up, I might actually start falling for him," she mused silently, appreciating the unexpected levity he brought to the scene. Chapter 177, Mind Workshop's Effect. The production of 50/50ths moved forward, and in one memorable scene, Rachel surprises Adam with a dog. But Adam quickly realizes that this isn't just any dog, it's one that's clearly seen better days. This revelation leads to some humorous back and forth between the couple. "You got me an old dog?" Adam asks, incredulously. He inspects the dog more closely, then quips, was he a witness to the signing of the Declaration of Independence? Rachel, trying to downplay the dog's age, responds, he's not that old. Adam, not quite convinced and with a humorous glint in his eye, retorts, well, he's certainly old enough to start collecting pension. All the while, the dog in question remains perfectly still, as if to prove Adam's point without saying a word. Hearing these off-the-cuff remarks nearly made Bryce chuckle, and it sent ripples of laughter through the crew. The dog, for its part, remained utterly still, as if to dignify the conversation with its presence. Attempting to shift the narrative, Rachel said, having a dog helps with the healing process. Adam, his wit quick as ever, quipped, why, does he come with a medical degree? The absurdity of the situation wasn't lost on him, but Rachel's patience was wearing thin. Forget it. I can take him back to the shelter tomorrow, Rachel sighed, the disappointment evident in her voice. Adam's expression softened. And what's going to happen to him then? Rachel's reply was blunt, a stark contrast to their playful banter. He'll be put back in his tiny cage with 10 other dogs who will bully, and RAPE him, until he's eventually euthanized. The weight of her words hung in the air for a moment. Adam, taken aback by the grim reality, capitulated. Fine, I'll keep the dog. Really? Rachel's face brightened instantly, hope reigniting at Adam's concession. Rachel's enthusiasm was palpable as she assured him, this is going to be so good for you, I promise. Amid the nighttime vibe of Seattle Public Radio, even though they're actually filming in Vancouver, Canada, the scene cleverly makes it feel as though they're in Seattle. The scene unfolds continued with Adam's poignant farewell party. A Bon Voyage banner, complete with a cruise ship illustration, adorns the entrance, setting the tone for a bittersweet celebration. Jenny, overcome with emotion, stands to the side, tears streaming down her face, as Kyle attempts to offer comfort. He explains the intent behind the party to honor and appreciate the Adam everyone cherishes, setting aside concerns about his recovery for the moment. An awkward moment passes as Kyle inadvertently glances at Jenny's cleavage. The party's atmosphere is a mix of celebration and somber acknowledgement of Adam's situation. As Adam mingles, he encounters Joe, who inquires about chemotherapy, followed by Ted who asks about the type of cancer Adam is facing. Susan offers unsolicited advice on overcoming the illness, while Greg shares a personal anecdote about his uncle's similar battle. These interactions, though well-intentioned, underscore the partygoers' struggle to find the right words. Returning to Kyle and Jenny, Kyle's attempt to comfort her takes a personal turn as he mentions his own preference for physical comfort when upset. The scene shifts to a tender moment between Phil and Adam, where Phil expresses his deep sense of loss at the thought of Adam leaving. Adam, despite his discomfort, reassures Phil of his intention to complete a story they've discussed, prompting a heartfelt response from Phil, eager to hear it whenever Adam is ready. As the day's filming wrapped up after several takes, the set transitioned to the next challenging scene, Adam's chemotherapy treatment. The setting was meticulously prepared to resemble a hospital's cancer ward, where the gravity of the upcoming scene hung palpably in the air. Lucas, deeply immersed in his role as Adam, gathered with key members of the crew to discuss the authenticity of the upcoming chemotherapy scene. Among them were Jonathan Levine, the director, and Will Reiser, the writer whose own battle with cancer inspired the film 50/50. As they wrapped up their discussion about the next scene, Jonathan, Will, and Seth couldn't help but notice Lucas's pallid appearance, which seemed to have deepened since they started filming just a few days ago. Lucas, sensing their concern, excused himself to head to the bathroom, leaving the others to exchange worried looks. It's only been a few days since we started filming, but Lucas really doesn't look good, Jonathan observed, his brows knit together in concern. Will, unable to shake off a nagging suspicion, voiced his worry, do you think Lucas might be dealing with some health issues? He looks off. Seth, ever the joker, chimed in with a laugh, maybe he's taking method acting too far and caught Adam's cancer. The quip fell flat, meeting only the stern gazes of Jonathan and Will. Realizing his misstep, Seth fell silent, regretting the joke. But Will's mind was elsewhere, troubled. Lucas's condition seemed all too familiar, yet he couldn't pinpoint why. Shaking off the unsettling thought, he decided to focus on the matter at hand. Meanwhile, Lucas found himself grappling with nausea in the bathroom. As he leaned over the sink, a sense of confusion washed over him. Why is my body reacting like this? I haven't even started the chemo. He thought, remembering his earlier consideration to undergo chemotherapy for real in order to bring authenticity to his portrayal of Adam. Yet, now, even without taking that drastic step, his body seemed to be in rebellion. It then dawned on him, his profound immersion in the mind workshop as Adam, especially simulating chemotherapy, might be manifesting physically. Could my deep dive into Adam's experience in the mind workshop be affecting my body this significantly? He pondered aloud, a mixture of alarm and realization washing over him. Wait, does this mean I have cancer? No, that can't be it. I've been immersing myself in various roles through the mind workshop before, and never felt anything like this, Lucas reasoned, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He remembered how embodying Aaron Ralston from 127 Hours had endowed him with survival skills and a profound connection to nature, and how slipping into Arthur's persona from Inception had honed his physical agility and strategic thinking. This revelation led Lucas to understand that his current physical distress was a direct consequence of simulating Adam's chemotherapy experience through the mind workshop. He didn't have cancer, but the workshop's potent influence was mimicking the physical changes one might undergo during treatment. Awed and slightly unnerved by the mind workshop's powerful impact, Lucas reflected on the blurred lines between mental simulation and physical reality, pondering the profound implications of such immersive method acting techniques. Chapter 178, Filming Progression. In the cancer ward of the hospital, Lucas found himself deep in conversation with the patients there. Each story shared was a window into a life grappling with immense challenges, yet brimming with courage and hope. Listening intently, Lucas's heart grew heavy with empathy, but these interactions fueled his resolve. He was more determined than ever to portray Adam authentically, hoping to touch the lives of others facing similar battles. Lucas sat beside a patient named Mark, whose optimism was infectious despite the circumstances. You know, Mark began with a smile, every day is a chance to beat the odds. That's how I see it. Lucas nodded, moved by Mark's spirit. I'll remember that. It's important to keep finding those reasons to fight, isn't it? Yeah, Mark agreed. And if your portrayal of Adam can show even one person that fight, you've done something incredible. Encouraged, Lucas moved to another patient, Kara, who was sketching in her notebook. What are you drawing? He asked, intrigued. Just something to keep my mind busy, Kara replied, showing him a drawing of the park outside her window. It reminds me of better days and the ones still to come. That's beautiful, Lucas said, genuinely impressed. I hope to bring a bit of that hope and beauty to my role. The patients were aware that their ward had become the unlikely setting for a film about cancer, and they understood Lucas was engaging with them to deepen his portrayal of a character battling the disease. Yet, their interactions with Lucas weren't strained or awkward. In fact, Lucas was quite enjoyable to talk to. They appreciated that Lucas engaged with them as equals, looking at them with a mix of normalcy and slight admiration, rather than with overt pity. This approach alone spoke volumes of Lucas's respect towards them. Lucas wasn't the only one from the film crew interacting with the patients. Philip Baker Hall and Matt Frewer, who were also playing cancer patients in 50/50, joined in, adding to the warmth of the interactions. In a lighter moment, Lucas decided to inject a bit of humor into the atmosphere. Spotting Matt Frewer's polished bald head, Lucas couldn't resist making a playful comparison. Hey, Matt, with that gleaming bald head, I'm starting to think we've got Lord Voldemort in our midst. Lucas quipped with a mischievous grin. The patients couldn't help but giggle at the jest, and even the crew and cast nearby let out laughs, appreciating the momentary levity. The ward erupted in gentle giggles, and the nearby crew and cast couldn't help but laugh along. Oh, is that so, Lucas? Just wait until I cast a spell on your hair, see how you like being bald, Matt responded, wagging a finger in mock threat. As the production of 50/50ths continued, the atmosphere in the cancer ward took on a new depth of realism. Lucas, fully immersed in his role as Adam, navigated the hospital's grim corridors, passing by patients in varying stages of treatment. His interactions with other characters in the chemotherapy room, from sharing macaroons laced with weed to engaging in dark humor about the realities of cancer, brought an unsettling authenticity to the scene. However, as days of filming progressed, Lucas's commitment to his role began to concern both cast and crew. His portrayal was so convincing that when he started vomiting for real, whispers of worry spread quickly. The line between acting and reality blurred alarmingly for Lucas. His physical reaction wasn't just for the camera, he was genuinely experiencing severe nausea, raising alarms about his well-being. In one particularly intense moment, Adam portrayed by Lucas was seated in the chemotherapy room, trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy among the other patients. Despite the casual exchanges and attempts at humor, Lucas's body betrayed him. His commitment to realism had taken a toll, and the physical manifestation of his character's illness became all too real. The production team watched with a mix of admiration and concern as Lucas navigated Adam's journey through cancer treatment with unsettling accuracy. Scenes that were meant to be acted felt disturbingly genuine. Lucas's dedication to his role impressed everyone, but it also raised questions about the impact such deep method acting could have on an actor's health. As Lucas continued to portray Adam's struggle, the boundary between performance and personal health became increasingly difficult to define. The crew found themselves in uncharted territory, witnessing an actor's transformation that was as compelling as it was worrisome. As the days rolled on and Lucas delved deeper into his portrayal of Adam, whispers circulated among the crew and cast. Is Lucas really acting, or is he genuinely unwell? The lines between his performance and real life had become so blurred that even Jonathan felt compelled to intervene, reminding Lucas to prioritize his health and suggesting he take a break. However, Lucas found the physical toll of his role not only manageable but beneficial, believing it enhanced his portrayal of Adam. This dedication to realism left many thinking Lucas was pushing the boundaries of method acting to an extreme. Yet, it also shed light on the intense dedication that propelled him to stardom so quickly. Unbeknownst to them, Lucas wasn't suffering from health issues. His experiences, eerily mirroring Adam's, were the result of the Mind Workshop, a method that allowed Lucas to embody his character's physical and emotional state with uncanny realism. Seth, having worked closely with Lucas for a week, grew to admire his dedication and consistency. Will, too, appreciated Lucas's talent and commitment, feeling fortunate to have him embody the role so convincingly. The conversation soon shifted to a pivotal scene in the film: Adam's decision to shave his head. Initially, Jonathan, Will, and Seth planned to discuss with Lucas the possibility of simulating the head-shaving scene to preserve his appearance, crucial for a rising star in Hollywood. To their surprise, Lucas proposed shaving his head for real. "Are you sure about this, Lucas? You know how important your image is, especially your hair, in this industry," Jonathan asked, concern lacing his voice, reflecting the collective apprehension about such a drastic measure. Lucas met their concerned gazes with a resolute expression. "I'm all right with it. If Adam's going through this, so will I. It's just hair, it'll grow back," he explained, his voice steady. The room fell silent as they absorbed Lucas's commitment. It was a bold move, one that could impact his career beyond the film. Given Lucas's rising status in Hollywood and the importance of appearance in the industry, they were concerned about the implications of such a drastic change. Authors note, "I think that the 50/50ths arc has extended quite a bit, and I'm keen on concluding it succinctly in the next 2 or 3 chapters." Chapter 179, Long Rehearsals. In the bathroom, the stage was set for the scene where Adam would shave his head. Lucas and Seth, mirrors of concentration, were there, rehearsing the scene with Lucas miming the act of shaving his head. The production team was fully invested in giving Lucas and Seth ample rehearsal time. The nature of this scene demanded perfection in a single take, leaving no room for do-overs. Wrapped in a towel, Seth, embodying Kyle, initiated the dialogue with a concerned, "I think you're making a big mistake. Please don't do this." Lucas, channeling Adam, responded, puzzled, "What are you talking about? What if you have some weird Gorbachev bird shit thing on your head?" Seth pressed on. Lucas, deviating from the script with a twinkle in his eye, retorted, "I thought you liked the idea of your buddy joining the Chrome Dome Club." Seth, teetering on the edge of his line and suppressing a laugh, managed, "Liked the idea, but couldn't hold back a soft chuckle." Nudging Lucas, he quipped, "Really? Chrome Dome Club?" The jest prompted laughter among the cast and crew, who had been watching the rehearsal intently. Lucas's playful addition of club to the slang Chrome Dome, a nickname for the bald, was a humorous twist. It implied Adam was about to become a member of the bald community, using slang to inject a light-hearted vibe into the scene. "All right, let's take it from the top and go again," Seth declared, ready to dive back into rehearsal with Lucas. They dove back into rehearsal, and this time, Seth was ready for Lucas's ad-lib about the Chrome Dome Club. "I liked the idea in theory. Now that we're standing here about to do it, I'm a little worried you're going to look like fucking Michael." Seth delivered his lines with a mix of humor and concern. Lucas, embodying Adam with a grave expression, countered, "Could be worse. I could end up like Britney in 2007. Anyway, just go for it. The unexpected lines once again sparked a round of soft chuckles among the crew. Seth, though fully prepared and still in character, protested, "I'm not going to do it." Holding the clipper at bay, reluctant to proceed with shaving Adam's head. "You said you would." Lucas, still in Adam's persona, insisted, locking eyes with Seth. Seth, grappling with Kyle's newfound hesitance, retorted, "I changed my mind, because if it looks bad, you'll blame me every time you see your weird screwed up bald head." Then, aligning with the script, Lucas seized the clippers from Seth's grasp. He paused, a look of sudden realization crossing his face. "Wait, what do you use these for?" It was as though he'd just pieced together that the clippers weren't solely for haircuts. "You know my body," Seth replied instantly, unfazed. Lucas eyed Seth with a mixture of suspicion and disbelief. "When was the last time you cleaned this?" Without missing a beat, Seth casually wiped the clippers on his shirt, declaring, "Right now." Taking the clippers, Lucas proceeded to mimic shaving his head, the act laden with seriousness. Seth, playing along, covered his eyes as if bracing for a disaster. The rehearsal flowed on, building up to the climactic moment when both actors would commit to the scene for real. Just before they were set to film the pivotal scene, Jonathan and Will came over to Lucas and Seth, a hint of concern in their eyes. Jonathan broke the silence, asking, "How do you feel about actually going through with it, shaving your head, I mean?" Will added softly, "You know, you can still change your mind. We'd completely understand." Lucas shook his head, his resolve clear. "No, I'm fully committed to doing this." Jonathan nodded in acknowledgement, then turned to Seth with a half-serious, half-joking warning, "Hey, make sure you don't mess up the scene. We don't have the luxury of retakes." Seth responded with a light-hearted laugh, "Don't worry. I understand the gravity of the scene. I won't be the reason Lucas's sacrifice goes to waste." Lucas, catching on to the banter, added, "You better not, or you might find yourself joining the bald club too." The tension eased, replaced by a few chuckles. Seth joked back, "Well, then I guess I need to up my seriousness." With the mood lightened, they moved to begin the scene. Lucas's improvisations and ad-libs were seamlessly woven into the fabric of the performance. Clutching the clippers, Lucas approached the moment with a solemn intensity. In his previous life, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who had portrayed Adam, had genuinely shaved his head for the role, and Lucas was committed to not falling short of that authentic portrayal. Moreover, Lucas wasn't overly concerned about losing his hair. He knew it would grow back. His focus was on the integrity of the moment, on capturing the raw, transformative experience his character was going through. Clutching the clippers, poised to shave his head, Lucas became the center of attention, with the crew and cast watching intently, their expressions a mix of anticipation and respect. None of them had anticipated that the journey of this film project would lead to such a moment where Lucas, a young actor already carving a niche for himself in Hollywood, would be willing to shave his head. They were all aware of how significant an actor's appearance, particularly their hair, can be in the industry. This was especially true for Lucas, who was still in the early stages of his career. The decision to go through with this scene underscored his dedication and bravery, leaving a lasting impression on everyone present. Chapter 180, Pivotal Moment. Lucas, embodying Adam, and Seth, playing Kyle, were reflected in the mirror, the tension palpable between them. Lucas, clippers in hand, prepared to shave Adam's head, a moment charged with emotion. As Lucas brought the clippers closer, Seth's character, Kyle, couldn't bear to watch, covering his eyes as if bracing for an inevitable calamity. Lucas's eyes, mirroring Adam's turmoil, shimmered with unshed tears, the redness around them betraying the character's inner struggle. Adam's face, drawn and pale, painted a vivid picture of a man grappling with his health, pushing him to the brink. Then, the silence was shattered by the clippers roaring to life, a sound that seemed to echo the gravity of the moment. As Lucas, with a resolute yet gentle hand, began to shave Adam's head, the room fell into a stunned silence. The cast and crew watched, a mix of awe and disbelief in their eyes. The act, so simple yet so profound, was a testament to the characters and the actor's bravery. As Adam pressed on with shaving his head, Kyle couldn't hold back his shock, exclaiming, "Fuck. Dude. Holy shit." Continuing the process, Adam found an unexpected assistant in Kyle, who, despite his watery eyes trying to hold back tears, stepped in to help shave his friend's hair. This act of solidarity was deeply personal for Seth, reminding him of the support he once offered to his own friend, Will, who faced a similar ordeal. After the shaving was complete, Adam studied his reflection in the mirror, a profound silence enveloping him. Noticing Lucas's prolonged silence, Seth, as Kyle, broke the tension, "What do you think? Don't say I didn't warn you." The line, playful yet laden with concern, sought to pierce the heavy silence that had fallen over them. Adam, gazing into the mirror, didn't react as Kyle might have expected. Instead, he hesitated, then said, "I." A pause hung in the air, filled with anticipation. Then, veering off the path of the scripted or rehearsed lines, Lucas, embodying Adam, confessed, "I don't recognize myself anymore." Before Kyle, played by Seth, could respond to Adam's moment of disbelief, Lucas continued, his reflection catching his eye, "Is that you? Jason Statham?" This unexpected quip, entirely unscripted, caught Seth off guard. The absurdity of Lucas's expression, now devoid of any hair, combined with his spontaneous ad-lib, was hilariously incongruent. Seth was momentarily taken aback, struggling to suppress a chuckle at Lucas's ridiculous comparison and his theatrical disbelief. He knew the importance of this scene, aware that a retake wasn't an option, and made every effort to compose himself. The cast and crew, however, couldn't contain their amusement. Lucas's expression, actions, and especially his words, "Is that you? Jason Statham?" sparked laughter among them. It was as if Lucas, now looking at his bald reflection, genuinely didn't recognize himself, humorously mistaking his new look for that of the famous action star. "I didn't think you'd become this delusional. Is it the shock of seeing your new look?" Seth, in the guise of Kyle, teased, catching Adam still sizing up his reflection. Adam faced Kyle, slightly puzzled. "What do you mean? I think I look pretty good, all things considered, right?" While Lucas did indeed look striking, even with his pallid complexion and newly shaved head, Kyle's perspective was less flattering. "No. It looks really weird." Adam, momentarily snapped out of his reverie, mused, "Why didn't we go to a barber?" Kyle nodded, reflecting on the missed opportunity. "That would have been a much better idea if we had paid someone to do it." Adam added, "Instead of using your balls trimmer." Kyle hastily cut in, "And I never wash them, ever. And it's not my balls, it's my asshole." The joke hung in the air, a tad too real, and as Kyle caught Adam's gaze in the mirror, the silence grew uncomfortably thick. Realizing his overshare, Kyle quickly added, "I'm joking." Adam retorted, his voice tinged with disbelief, "You're not joking." The banter between Adam and Kyle kept rolling, their easy back and forth eliciting soft chuckles from the crew until the scene reached its conclusion. After cut was called, Lucas and Seth headed over to the replay monitor, where Jonathan and Will were already gathering to review the footage. The air was filled with a sense of accomplishment and curiosity about how their work translated on screen. Jonathan broke the thoughtful silence as they watched the playback, "This balance between comedy and drama, it's exactly what we're aiming for in this comedy drama. You guys nailed the tone." Lucas, observing his and Seth's interaction on the monitor, offered a humble, "I guess so." Seth, with a hint of relief in his voice, added, "I'm just relieved I didn't mess it up." That comment drew a round of light laughter from the group. Will, whose personal journey inspired the script, had been visibly moved. Watching the scene being filmed earlier, he found himself deeply touched, seeing echoes of his own experiences in Adam's story. Jonathan nudged Lucas, freshly shorn, with a concerned smile. "How's it going, Lucas? You sure you're all right with parting ways with your hair?" Lucas returned the smile confidently, "I'm totally fine." Jonathan let out a laugh of relief. "You had me for a second there during the shoot. When you pulled that Jason Statham bit, I half expected you to say you regretted it." Lucas let out a chuckle, "Oh, I was shocked, all right." He paused just long enough for a beat of suspense before adding, "Shocked at discovering how good I look bald." Seth burst into laughter, "You're too much, man." Their light laughter filled the room, easing any lingering tensions. The crew, observing this exchange, couldn't help but look on with a blend of respect and admiration for Lucas, embracing his new look with such grace and humor. After Lucas, as Adam, bravely shaved his head, the filming of 50/50ths progressed without a hitch. Lucas's knack for improvisation added a unique flair to several scenes, enhancing the film's overall impact.
Thanks for listening.